Hi, I'm Neil Druckmann, and I was the director and co-writer.
Hi, my name is Hallie Gross, and I was the co-writer and narrative lead.
I'm Ashley Johnson, and I play Ellie.
Hi, I'm Troy Baker, and I played Joel.
This whole scene came about because we were trying to figure out how do we recap the previous game just enough for people that haven't played it, or might not have been so many years they don't even remember it. So we thought, oh, Joel could confess to Tommy.
And this was, I don't know why I dug my heels in, and I was like, I do not agree with this. And I had such a problem with it because I felt like this was a secret that Joel was going to take to his grave, and he would just bear this sin. And it wasn't until we were on set, and I'm sitting across from Jeffrey, and I'm watching him just listen to Joel. And every take, we went deeper and got better, and more truth came out.
It's really small, but you're right, it's really powerful and intimate of this exchange between these brothers, of just how far they've come since he's rejoined Jackson.
Yeah. It's become one of my favorite scenes. The meticulousness of this task of fixing up a guitar. And I remember you saying specifically is like, you're really trying to get the grime out. And to me, how that mapped to what he's trying to do in this scene with this conversation is I'm just trying to get every last bit of dirt out.
In the original game, we didn't cut to a close-up of Joel and seeing like what was his emotional state coming into that operating room.
That look from Tommy.
What do you do?
I love this right here. I saved her. And we wanted some darkness around that statement of like, the implication is I did whatever I needed to do to get her out of there.
And the justification, that comes from that.
That is the central question, right? And I think that opening the game on that line is so important because Joel really does believe he saved her. And that's the question for Ellie throughout the game of, did he?
I remember just so much work we did on this soundscape right here of just leaving you with that kind of uncomfortable feeling of it was a good thing, but there was definitely a lot of darkness around it. It's a great scene for Tommy as well. Again, now he has to carry the weight of this thing that his brother did. Right now he's not feeling great about it.
That's so. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
He's also a family guy, so on some level he gets it.
What does Ellie know?
And he gets obviously he knows what Joel has been through and why that decision was so important for him.
I told her they just ran some tests.
There's something to me that hits me every time when Ellie rolls over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I caught it as much. I don't think I was aware of it. Like, Neil, you being a parent, you're more familiar with some of those gestures than I was, or I am now. Traveler will do this, where he will, when I put him to bed or whatever, and he's ready to go to sleep, or he needs to be alone with his own thoughts, he'll do that turn. And it never really hit me that that's what Ellie is doing, is just, okay, I'm done talking about this now. I just kind of want to be private in my own thoughts.
Which is also an interesting juxtaposition that's happening here, is we're getting to see the moment he was lying to her while he's confessing the truth to his brother. And the differences in those two relationships now. And it's, despite how much they've been through and how much Ellie has become an equal of sorts, he still sees her as his child. And if he has to lie to her to protect her, he will. It was important to get this final handoff of playing as Joel one last time as this beautiful sunset ride towards Jackson before we fully kind of hand off the baton to Ellie. We worked so hard on these transitions to go from cutscene to gameplay. And it was just a change in tech that we had from the first game to the second game, where the first game, all the cinematics were pre-rendered. Now that they were real time, there was a lot of effort put into just these seamless transitions in and out of gameplay.
About what we were talking about earlier.
This is a great moment.
I can't say I'd have done different.
And you have to wonder, is Tommy telling the truth? Or does he know it's too late to do anything about it? And that's the best truth to put out there.
There's also something, it's just occurring to me now, but I think confessing to Tommy really speaks to sort of the themes of the game of how hard it is to be alone and to carry things alone. And even Joel can't do it at a certain point and needs to unload on Tommy. And so what it is for Ellie to isolate further and further and further and carry her secrets alone more and more and more.
There's her little house.
I discovered some people don't realize that her house is the
garage.
Exterior garage of Joel's house.
Look, she's drawing a deer. Oh, and you're hearing James' song, which was the song we did for the teaser trailer.
Ellie?
Shout out to the environment team that had to build several different versions of this room, as Ellie has lived in it for longer and longer and got more and more of her items from the old world that she's obsessed with.
Lava lamp.
I love this moment of just like, hey, how do you...
Jesus.
Do you both remember when we did this scene live on stage, just for an audience of 100, 200 people? I forget
Yes.
exactly. Like Jeff Keighley set up this one night live, and I wrote the scene just for that. But in the back of my mind, I knew already this would be the opening for the second game.
Oh, yeah. And that was,
Talking about how impressed they are with
some of that was streamed except for this scene. That
right,
was just for the audience.
We did not stream the scene.
There was this, I remember we got it, and then, as often happens, there's a team of people that kind of come up to you, and after you go, cut, best that one, that's a take we can go with. And people just kind of clouded around you, and there was a conversation that was happening. We were trying to figure out what it was, and I saw you do your, everything's okay, it's fine, it's fine. And then afterwards, you tell me this story that in Uncharted 3, the ship capsizing was one of the most resource-draining, almost game-breaking things that you guys had, one of the most ambitious set pieces you'd ever done. And then in the Left Behind DLC, the photo booth was one of the most resource-draining, almost game-breaking things. He goes, up until you decided to put your thumb in your belt loop.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so actually that's funny because you did that, Joel initially didn't have his shirt tucked in. But in order to honor, again, this little gesture that you did, redesigned his clothing. And the way we did clothing on this game is we actually sourced the actual material and scanned it. So we had to source the shirt, the pants, the belt, scan it, so we could do this one gesture that you did, which was like looping your thumb around your belt.
Trust in you.
From a writing standpoint, this was a tricky scene because we have to reestablish these characters and their relationship, but also show there's something hanging over them. That there's, we had to honor the ending of the first game, that moment of okay, of lie, that again, Ellie knows something is off, but she doesn't quite know how to deal with it or how to move past it. Right, so this scene has you see at the beginning, she's trying to get rid of him, and then he wins her over by playing the song, and she softens by the end of it. And it's interesting, they talk about you promised you would teach me how to play the guitar, and they're talking about promises and oaths and the idea of keeping your promises. And we know this lie is hanging over them.
I love this opportunity this song gives Ellie to watch him.
Yeah.
Without confrontation.
And again, there's so much beautiful acting that you're doing here, Ashley. I know these compliments are making you uncomfortable, but it's look how much she's processing.
Yeah.
You could see it. You could feel it. And again, talking about when characters make eye contact versus not, is only when he finishes that he finally allows himself to look up.
Barely.
Barely right there.
It's a very intimate thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more nervous than I was in that scene playing that song.
Were you more or less nervous when you did it live?
For some reason, playing music live to me feels a little bit more at home. But also, I don't know if I fully understood what that song meant to you Neil, and knowing what it was going to mean now to other people once they played the game, and now there was context to it. Now there was story.
First lesson.
They care about each other so much.
The lighting. Lighting is so gorgeous here. And this was the same pun we had when you both did it live.
Do you remember the joke?
And you could see the shift in Joel. Like that song has just shifted the relationship a little bit. It moved the needle.
Mm-hmm. He's standing up a little taller.
It's time consuming.
I love how much he's just trying to reach out to her on her terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still got dad in
Giving
him.
her space.
Yeah.
Still got dad.
Yeah.
Can I get over?
And this again, this writing is the same. It's like how this ended was the same as the live version, where you just play the low E. Well, I guess with the capo it wouldn't be an E, but boom, and just let this ominous note linger. Interesting parallel. In Last of Us Part 1, Joel wakes up after the multi-year jump
Was that
to a knock at the door.
was that an accident?
No, that was by design.
Sorry, I totally overslept. Just give me a minute and I'll
Yeah, initially we had the whole dance and the kiss in the beginning. And then once we moved it to the end, we had to kind of, through exposition and dialogue, hint at what happened.
It was just Dina being Dina. It's just Dina being Dina.
I was talking about your fight with Seth. Wait, you kissed Dina?
I love that scene kind of plays out like an awkward thing between them as if they had kissed last night, which is really funny.
Yeah.
You know, it has this like kind of morning after feel, but it's like not about them, which is really charming.
I would never. Yeah, that's true.
This is so Ashley awkwardness right here.
I love it.
Messing with you, man.
VV awkward. Like, don't point, don't bring attention to something that I did, please.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
Jesse's the coolest guy.
He
Look at him.
is.
He's like, he kissed his girl, and he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Oh, Seth.
There you are. Come here.
Oh, Seth.
Yeah, remember this scene was,
Don't want to hear what that big.
I mean, so much of the story is about forgiveness and letting go of stuff, and how Ellie specifically struggles with that, and this was a pretty minor example of that.
Seth, come here.
Turns out I really struggle with it because I still hate this scene. I'm like, fuck that guy.
I know,
He's
me
trying.
too.
Look at him. He's
Doesn't work.
Steak sandwich. He's trying so hard.
Look how he wrapped it with a bow.
The way he starts with like, look,
Aw.
I'm like, yo, look you.
Yeah, don't looky hear me. Let's just.
Oh, now it's her fault.
Great job.
Yeah, this scene makes me so mad. Hey, I'm trying to apologize, you little bitch. You're like, what?
Made you some sandwiches.
Okay.
Your steak.
Thank you, Seth.
Didn't we discuss cutting Baguette sandwich because people had such a hard time understanding it at first?
Yeah, they kept hearing bacon sandwich.
Bacon sandwich. Yeah.
Bigot sandwich was a.
Baguette sandwich.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What you got there?
Baguette sandwiches.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Smells
Hallie, you wrote that, didn't you?
I don't know.
It just bigot sandwich feels
does feel very
Hallie
Hallie.
to me.
Okay.
Just give me a minute.
Oh, this is Dina's big intro.
Oh, here she comes.
I'm Shannon Woodward. I play Dina. I had a really hard time hiding behind nothing here.
Well, that's the thing that's so hard about sometimes acting in these things, is that you like the kids weren't there, and then we like
Yeah.
later captured kids and kind of constructed all the pieces.
Hey.
This is a me lean. I love to lean.
I just want to say sorry for running off last night. I actually really love this scene.
I totally get it. I felt bad.
I love the one-liners that you guys kind of riffed on when we were doing the combat stuff for the snowball fight.
Oh my God.
I still die laughing when I hear you guys insulting children.
And I think that was really, a lot of that was just my instinct.
Yeah. Your parents don't love you.
Yeah, and then I think eat snow, you
Eat
little
snow.
no, I think you little shits. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think you were like eat snow, and then I said eat snow, you little shit. I think
God.
it's like
I love name calling children.
what the fuck? I'm not even playing.
Interesting parallel is Ellie doesn't want to do any of this until she gets hit with a snowball, and then it's like, let's make these motherfuckers pay. Which is, again, is a really lighthearted moment of what this whole story's about.
All of the horse acting was always very funny to me because how that works is you have somebody holding on to a rope and you're just kind of
Pulling it along.
pulling them around. And it would always make me laugh.
Fun fact, the guy in the stable there is Yuri, who plays Spider-Man in the Spider-Man Insomniac game.
That's Yuri?
And this was another big scene. Anytime we have a big scene like this, we can only have so many actors in the volume, so this is captured in pieces. And I remember, like, Troy played one of, like, the people kind of
Yeah.
like, and they were improvising, talking crap in the background.
Yeah, and it's not there anymore. There was a bit where he said something kind of
Yeah.
goading to me, and it's not there anymore. But then every take we did, I'd call him a new name that I
Oh,
thought was like
yes.
embarrassing. I'd be like, "Listen, Chad."
You come back. Be smart about it.
Wait, I actually didn't know there's only a certain amount of people you can have in the volume?
Get going.
Yeah, just because we start losing data after a while, so to track all the little balls and stuff. It gets fuzzy. Like above 8, I think it just like gets more expensive, and you're more likely to be error prone, so it needs more cleanup.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Laura Bailey, and I played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2.
Ominous. And here we have the introduction of this crew, the Salt Lake City crew.
There's Neil.
Self-insert. And here we have Laura Bailey waking up. This was a repeating motif from the first game of these characters that are haunted by some horrible trauma and can't sleep.
The lighting is really nice here. It's really nice everywhere.
We debated quite a bit of like how much do we want to reveal for this character when you're about to play as her, versus how much we want to hold off for like the second half of the game when you get to see more of her. I remember we iterated a lot of how much snow he should have on him because he was just outside.
This is one of the audition scenes, I think.
What were you dreaming about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Was I talking?
You're doing here.
It's important to know that we did not want to cast you in this role.
I've heard tell that you did not.
Just because you're in so many things and you're so iconic. But you were the best. And once we saw your audition, there was no turning back.
What are you going to do, you know?
Trust me.
You painted us into a corner, Laura Bailey.
You're welcome.
This is the first real big choice this character makes, Abby, of do we turn back or does she choose justice?
We made it.
She's going to end up choosing justice, just like Ellie does later many times.
Choosing obsession.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's a fucking city.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that, when you're acting in this, there's nothing there. You're in this blank white volume, and we're like, okay, it's snowing. You got to act like you're freezing. There's a town in the distance.
It's, so weird, though. Like, I never, when I, try to remember a scene or remember performing that moment, I never think of it in terms of, oh, right, we were in this gray volume. I always had, this visual of every set that was actually supposed to be there. And I think of it in those terms.
But I think that's a unique skill that only some actors have.
Really?
And other actors without the set, without the costume, they can't get into it. They can't lose themselves the way like you and Troy and Ashley do.
When I did this audition, Troy was reading opposite me because he was doing all of the Abby auditions.
Sure, they'll be
And
That's right.
he forgot all of the lines in this particular scene. And we were just like making stuff up. I remember thinking like, that went really well.
These scenes can be very tricky to write, but they're also a lot of fun where you're just given hints of this relationship. And obviously there's this some kind of triangle here between Abby, Owen, and Mel. And Abby does a very poor job of hiding her feelings.
It's not just that, though.
Should I say congrats?
When everyone else sees this, they're going to want to turn back.
But it's just interesting that,
Convince him.
you know, Owen, we're setting up here, he plays this moral conscience for this group. And even here, he's trying to give Abby a way out.
Abby, I want what you want, but not at any cost.
But not at any cost. So it's like there's a line here for justice that he's not willing to cross. And she hasn't found her line yet.
Well, it's also like selflessness versus selfishness, right? He now has, even with nothing else, he now has a baby he has to think about, right? Which is the same for Dina, which is the same for Jesse, which is the same for Joel. But she is only thinking about herself.
Well, one could argue she's also thinking about her father, that this is all coming out of love, the love she had for her dad, and the injustice that they all experienced in his brutal murder by Joel's hands.
Oh, there we go.
You think it's still good?
Does weed go bad?
Let's find out.
The infamous weed scene.
Are you going to talk about how we did this twice?
You haven't
Oh,
ever
yeah.
done-
Oh, we
my
had a whole
God,
other version of
yes.
the scene that was a little too
On the
earnest.
nose. Yeah.
And we rewrote it and recaptured it.
It's
How do
funny
you
you
mean by
described it
that?
as earnest because I felt that it was literally a fight until she's like, "Okay, I love you."
It also felt that fight was trumping some stuff that happens later in the theater once we're in Seattle. So this was like a moment to give them
What's wrong with you?
pure innocence before we go on this violent journey.
I remember, Neil, when you pitched the idea that, like, she throws the glass, and I was still, to this day, I'm like, but what if you smoke glass? I
Yeah.
get
What if you
really
smoke
concerned.
glass?
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, gonna be stuck here a while, right?
Kissing scenes in performance capture is really hard.
I feel like the hardest part about it was when we would have to do the ones where we would have to be standing apart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
then
that was really embarrassing.
we would just have to be like
Yeah,
with
because
ourselves.
we had one where it was just you standing there with your face turned to the side
Ugh,
and
I-
just kind of kissing the air so we get the pure facial reference that isn't obscured by
And then
Shannon's
I was like,
big head.
why do you need the front of the face? The front of the face is being used.
Well, because they animated from like all angles, even though you only see like one
Yeah.
side.
How would you?
I feel like if I had to do this with anybody else, it would have been even more uncomfortable. But because Shannon and I got so close, it was helpful to sort of, when we had to do those awkward sort of kissing moments and we weren't actually being able to connect with each other physically and feeling awkward and weird, we would still be holding on to each other. So it still felt
We were like minorly cuddling,
minorly cuddling. So you're like, well, at least there's like a little bit of something
like
here.
intimacy. There was still
Yeah.
some form of intimacy that was like, all right, I still feel safe. I don't feel like I'm like flapping in the wind.
And you're in a brightly lit room
Very brightly
with
lit
a bunch
room.
of technical engineers like standing all around you.
Yeah. But we found ways around it to sort of still be able to, connect with each other and not feel so weird.
Oh, what? I mean, now I really want
I mean, what you're doing is, I think, pretty hard. You're trying to convey years of relationship with this your best friend, and it all has
Yeah.
to come across like there's just so much history, and yet there's this still awkward thing that hasn't been realized until this moment.
Have you met you?
You make me want to go back outside into that blizzard.
gotta flick that joint really aggressively in a second.
Flicky.
Ellie's so cool here. Look at how cool she is.
This better be better than it's next.
Yeah.
The flicking always made me
It's
uncomfortable.
very
I was
aggressive.
like, what if it catches on
It's
fire?
a very dry space.
The one guy that saves her life is the one guy she wants to kill.
Well, I think it speaks to the nuance of atonement, right? It's like she ultimately will save 2 other kids in trouble. But is that enough? Does that make up for anything?
So we wanted to create a scenario for them where, again, and Tommy trying to do the right thing and create some trust between him and Abby, he inadvertently reveals who they are. And you could see right now, right there, like Abby has this reaction that only makes sense for players in hindsight, knowing who she is. But now her goals become different, not only to escape the Horde, but to get these 2 back to her people.
This is where we see Joel doing something that, for us who have spent so much time with him before, is preternatural to him. It's to trust someone is really, really hard, but he's choosing to do it. And the problem with choosing to trust people is you always, every time, open yourself to getting hurt. That's just such a Laura look.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like, boy, this is a bit of a pickle.
This is the Lethal Weapon 4 comparing scars.
I love it.
When I was 12.
Look at those arms.
Really jacked.
Dina's hot.
I tried to get on it.
So's Ellie. They're hot.
Yeah.
We're hot.
Yeah, we're hot.
I remember armpit hair being a large discussion.
Armpit hair with
the
Ashley
office.
Swadowski, who was our character art director.
Oh.
Yeah, and how much body hair should the girls have, and what are we okay with, and like let them be natural ladies.
I love it.
A chemical burn. I did it myself.
Why?
It's on the tip of her tongue right there. That's a hard thing to say to somebody. Like, oh, I'm the only person that doesn't really get affected by this thing that's completely ruined the world.
Right here.
Now I'm trying to remember, does it make it in that I'm like, I told you something true? It does.
Yeah.
It does. This still happens here.
Yeah. You're gonna
This
punch her.
scene, because we did it twice, sometimes I'm like, I don't remember which, because both times we did like, it was like 5 hours.
Yeah, they were big days.
Ring of fucked up teeth marks and cysts and
Ow!
Fuck you.
What? Hey!
I told you a real fucking story.
I did tell you a real fucking story.
Oh, you want a bite mark?
Oh, God.
Oh, here comes
this scene.
Steven. I remember how, Shannon, how angry you were at Steven.
I wasn't angry at Steven. I couldn't tell why I was mad, and then this was the only real thing I actually fought for was this. Was to make him turn around. I was with you, and I was like, he needs to turn around, and you were like, why? And I was like, it took me a while to explain it to you, and then when he did it, then you were like, I get it. Because I was like, no, because I have to protect her.
Pretty sure that was in the script. but
No,
yeah,
it
you might
wasn't.
be
It
right.
was the only argument we had.
It's been 3 years. I don't remember.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
probably
It
right.
was
I
actually,
remember this.
It was the only thing I argued with you about. And it was because I felt so protective of Ashley that I knew it was right. That I was like, because we were so close, that I was like, turn around. She's naked. Like,
Yes.
you know,
because you guys knew each other intimately, but
Yeah.
Ellie and
exactly. And because I had to, like, I wanted to prove to you that I was loyal to you and not embarrassed because he was there.
Exactly.
But I love it. I feel like it shows so much about how strong Dina is and how loyal and sort of just, I don't know, I love that. I feel like that little moment says so much about Dina.
We really wanted to show or build trust between Joel and Tommy and this group to show that without their help, they might have died. Meaning Tommy and Joel would have died without this group. There's another one where I think I'm like screaming out to all like the actors, okay, now they're burning. Now like there's a lot of fire. And you gotta speak up over the storm. Again, none of those elements are there.
Let's get inside!
And right now, only Abby knows what's about to go down. Everybody else thinks like, oh, we just found friendly people that helped us along. We captured this all as one go, from here all the way to the golf club hit. And initially we had versions of it where it was edited to be multiple cuts. And then it felt like it could just be way more tense if the whole thing was one shot. Required a lot of stitching of different performances and different elements, and some tweaking of stuff in animation, but
You have no idea.
yeah, I find that this scene has so much tension, the way it now moves.
We rehearsed it so many times before we shot it to make all the moving parts work.
From a directing side, this can be hard as well because you're trying to pay attention to so many actors and making sure it's all feeling honest and authentic.
Y'all should come back with us, restock before you head out.
Appreciate it.
Again, there's no
No.
ambush here. They're all being authentic
This is my brother.
until this moment. And now everything has changed.
We knew this was going to be the most controversial scene in the whole game, and the intention is that it is brutal and it is hard to watch, which obviously as a player is really difficult to go through, but it puts you in alignment with Ellie. You're watching this devastation to this man that you've come to love as a character, and now you're watching him be brutally murdered. And it should be upsetting, it should hurt. A lot of people are still really upset about it, but what a faster way, I can't think of a faster way to help you understand why Ellie is going to go as far as she's going to go, because we're there seeing how this thing was stolen from her.
Yeah, this interplay of like, you want him to suffer, and he's not giving you the satisfaction of like, I don't care who you are, do your worst.
Mm-hmm.
And you try.
Yeah.
You try to do your worst.
Joel's not a man who begs.
That is a conversation I had with Troy about how prepared he was. He's lived for 20 years, 25 years at this point of like, just always accepting that this day might come. Something like this will happen because it always happens in this world.
Yeah, it's irrelevant to him who they are or why they're doing this, because there are so many people who could want to do this to him, given the life he's led.
I just remember shooting it and being like, this moment you've worked towards for so long and wanting it to feel right and wanting it to feel good. And it happens and you just feel fucking empty.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about it, Neil. Like, you had talked to me about this role and you told me about this character, Abby, and you told me what you were planning for her. And she had like a different story, I think, at the time, how they met and everything. But I was excited and terrified because, like, as a player, that's traumatizing. And I didn't know how people were going to react to it.
You don't get to rush this.
Versions of this sequence where Ellie came in after the fact, and it just felt we needed her to see it to really set up this journey.
Yeah, this was rough. This was a rough day on set because I knew we were losing a character that we all love very deeply. You know, even the imaginary circumstances of that are just hard. It's also our, you know, all of our friendship, my friendship with Troy. So just seeing that and...
What I remember more than anything is, we're going through the mechanics of it, and we're stupid suits on a soundstage, and there's all of these machinations and things that are keeping it goofy. But the one thing that cuts through the din of all that is when I look over at Ashley. Because being the great actor that you are, all of those things go away, and all you see is the moment that we're trying to create and the reality of what this scene is for you personally. And everything that I'm feeling, everything that I'm thinking is gone because I'm just watching. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch that scene without it bringing me to that place, ever. But the thing that has been proven to me is because of the way that I feel, because it's so hard, it is absolutely the most honest, perfect version of this story. There's no other version of this story. There just isn't.
And for this version of the scene, it was important that we were in Ellie's head, that you don't get to hear this conversation that's happening around her. But this was just about the ringing of the ears of pure hatred and anger that she's experiencing right now. And just this final look right here where she sees him and I can't fix this. Well, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it.
Yeah, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it in the best way she knows how.
I love this scene with you and Jeffrey. Brings you Tupperware with food.
Oh yes, this was one of my favorite scenes to shoot. I love working with Jeffrey.
You're so brilliant how it goes from this really sad, mournful place to just slowly rage over time as you're not getting what you want.
Also, this emptiness you have just from that look out the window there to like this, that like bereft. It's just really right on point. It's just so good.
Hey.
Hey.
Jeffrey here is quite brilliant. Is like
Yeah.
he wants to go after the people that hurt Joel. So there's like the emotional part of his mind and the rational part, and they're kind of in conflict here. And like he's trying to do what's best for Ellie, which is to say it's not worth it.
I also really love how the blocking of this scene worked out, because I love that neither of them can look at each other. They're not facing each other.
Maria wants to make sure you're eating.
Oh, and Jeffrey's voice. It's so
She can't stop us.
scrumptious.
To have the guys that we would need to do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
I love it. It's like the one time you look at him is to make him feel shame. Like, are you really saying this to me?
The only time that there's confidence there with her is when there's anger present.
What if we get hit by hunters again?
Is this you talking or is this her?
It's a valid point.
If it were you or me, Joel would be halfway to Seattle already.
Which is true.
Well, we had actually lines here where he counters that, and he says Joel never went after the people that killed his daughter. Like, because we really wanted to flesh out the point that like Joel is more pragmatic with his violence, where Ellie comes from a much more emotional place with it.
Why didn't you guys keep that in?
It just felt like we're just
It's too on the nose?
too much exposition about the previous game. And we wanted more to stay in this moment. Like, there's other ways to talk about what Joel did in other spots, and really wanted to focus about
And if you want to come with me, great.
the logistics of going after the people, going after Abby.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is.
Don't care.
Armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
Again, this moment of decision where he's like, in order to protect her, I'm gonna have to go by myself. And he's like, now he's lying again. Not dissimilar to Joel lying to Ellie to protect her.
Give me a day.
Right? That give me a day's bullshit.
Okay. There's got to be some folks you can spare.
Why the choice of the hairpiece coming down? The little hair string for Tommy.
There's a little bit of design. Like Abby has something similar as well. So it's like there's what animators call secondary movement. So as when he's moving around, there's like physics on the hair. And just one more way to bring the CG character to life.
Yeah.
It's also such a flex because it really
So
doesn't
hard.
look good in other games. Like it's just like it looks amazing, and it's like it feels it's just like such a subtle flex. Like look what we can do.
Yeah.
I love this hug that then it's just too painful for the two of them. They can't stay in that moment.
That's too uncomfortable to be vulnerable. Got too much shit to do.
There's something about, when it doesn't feel real until you're at his grave. Like there's a part of you, maybe because you play you play video games, you watch a lot of popular movies, you keep thinking he's going to come back somehow. And then it's like, no, there's his name on that gravestone. And then the famous Gustavo All Gone, another version of that theme.
It was hard. It was hard. Joel is a character that I love. And I wasn't ready to let him go. So seeing that, even experiencing that of seeing, oh, we're doing a scene where we're at the gravestone is very final. I love it. I love that Dina was there the whole time and we didn't know that yet. Not looking on, just sort of giving Ellie her moment.
I remember when we were doing that, I really did feel like I was like really trying not to listen to you.
I felt that too.
You did?
Yeah. It's like I'm right here if you need me, but I'm not listening.
I'm not listening. You have your privacy, but if you need me, I'm here.
This is Ashley Scott as Maria realizing what Tommy has done.
Maria, I'm headed to Seattle. I wish I could let it go, but I can't. I have to bring these people to justice. Ellie's gonna try to come after me, but stop her. Take her guns, lock up the horses, maybe lock her up. Buy me some time so I can end this. Love you always, Tommy. He's gonna get himself killed.
He should have taken me with him.
I like that she hasn't thought at all about what she's just going. She doesn't even know what she's doing, what she's gathering.
Zero plan.
And Maria knows this, right? Maria knows her, like a parent of sorts, and to say, okay, well, if you're going to do this, here's some stuff.
You going with her?
Yeah.
Damn right she is.
Ride or die.
Sneak out of here.
I love that those little moments with Dina where you see the snarky bits.
And it's funny because, like, this whole section here, I constantly felt like anytime we were dealing with Joel or anything about Jackson there, I was like, oh, this is none of my business. Like it felt like I shouldn't be there. And even in that scene there too, it was like, well, I mean, yeah, I'm going with her and I'm here to be with her, but all of this stuff predates me. So all I could do were kind of these little things that were almost like for your benefit to like kind of support you or be like, I saw that. That was a lot. Are you okay?
Like, oh, boy, she's a lot. Yeah.
Do me a favor.
It's that weird feeling of letting someone that's grieving have their space, but offering yourself to help them in any way you can.
All right. Get going. You're losing light.
I really remember the end of this scene and this look that I give you. Like, well, that was a lot. I think, yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, there it is. I was like, like, oof, this is like a lot. Today is a lot.
That could have gone way worse.
And here it's still there. I'm like, all right.
This shot right here with the light coming through Ellie's ear is just so gorgeous. Hey, Hallie, do you want to talk about how we managed to get the rights to this beautiful song?
Sure. We were looking for a song, and my bestie, is a spectacular woman named Lauren Savoy, whose husband is Paul Wakhtar Savoy, who is a member of the band Aha. And so I reached out and said, would it be possible to get this dope-ass song in the game? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. That's amazing. That's great. So it was just a lucky happenstance that we were able to pull it off. But it's great because now like two of my favorite things are combined forever.
It's also cool how these things are such collaborations where that's obviously Ashley singing, but that's Ashley's friend Chris playing guitar, and we mocapped his hands and then transposed that onto Ellie's body.
I loved this game mechanic. So fun.
This is my favorite missable moment in the whole game. The fact that this is optional, I think.
Remember how much we talked about the fact, because like so many people love this, and we're like, and then there were people on the team that argue that you should not be able to miss this, but it makes it more special knowing that you might have missed it.
You gotta earn me staring at you for several minutes.
Such a good cover too. I mean, I wouldn't say it to Ashley's face, don't look over here, but like, it's pretty solid.
Needless to say, I'm odds and ends.
When I see Dina's looks over here, my interpretation is that she's remembered all the times that she was falling in love for Ellie in the past when she was with Jesse. Because they're talking about this has happened before, and she played this song. And the other character moment that's interesting here is like the song she originally played here when she picks up the guitar is Future Days, is what Joel teaches her. And as soon as Dina walks through the door, she stops playing that song because she doesn't want to talk about that.
This is actually, I think, canonically the first time you will have seen Ellie successfully play guitar since the opening scene where Joel says he's going to teach her.
Yeah.
So this is the first moment that we realize like that he really did teach her. So it also represents not just like her relationship with Dina, but
You're right. It's every time she's picking up a guitar, there's a connection to Joel every single time. And we were like, when we were making this, we kept talking about what are different ways we could remind you of Joel, because he's not there.
Make him a ghost.
But he's present. There were versions where we talked about having
Ghost
like
Joel. We
Ghost
had
Joel
Joel
like
early
go
on.
talk to Ellie, and it just felt a little too campy for this story.
I wanted to.
Me too.
All right. We should keep moving.
Yeah.
Oh, the Tommy torture scene. So we got to see Joel do this scene in the first game of interrogating two people. And now we get to see like the aftermath of having this interrogation done by Tommy. Just shows you what he's capable of.
Tommy did this.
And then later we get to see Ellie try to do this.
No way.
Right, and at this point for Dina, she doesn't really know about Tommy's past. She doesn't know that she doesn't have the privileged information that Tommy used to be as bad as Joel. And she's just really sort of seeing that for the first time.
Because she knows like the reformed Tommy that lives in
Right.
Jackson, that helps everybody.
Shit.
Right.
There's another one over here.
Yeah, I remember we iterated a lot on the lighting of this room and trying to give it the right vibe, that it wasn't too bright or too dark.
I don't recognize him.
And that's really important. I don't recognize him. That shows Tommy killed someone that wasn't involved in Joel's death. That there's already starting to be this cost of whether this person is innocent or not. Is who knows.
No, he wasn't. You ask this guy a question, but you don't make him say it. You make him write it down. And then you ask this guy.
This is the worst board game ever.
Telling the truth.
One of the things that really like rocks me about some of these scenes is also just how comfortable they are around death all the time.
Yeah.
It implies her understanding this kind of anger and grief as well, that like Ellie really is not okay and she's losing because other people are going through this all the time. And so like it's those little things like that that really like moved me when I was actually playing the game. I was like, God, this is fucked up. Like
And right around this area is where we have Dina mention her sister and how she was never able to avenge whatever happened to her sister. So she has this unfulfilled thing, and she knows how traumatic that can be, and she doesn't want that for Ellie. So this is the first contact with the people that killed Joel.
He's great.
Yeah.
Chase Austin is great.
And fun fact, Chase played young Sam Drake in Uncharted 4.
How'd you find us?
So ballsy.
Bitch scar across his face.
It's funny. How many came with you? Just you two?
I think that's what Ellie really believes, that no matter what, they're going to get what's due. Like there's like some cosmic karma thing going on.
I feel like she has to.
Or she's just bullshitting him to make it believe that there's more people coming.
Yeah. This girl was there.
So that guy is being played by Ruben Langdon, who played James in part 1. His face, though, is the skin of Mike Hatfield, our lead foreground artist.
Kill all trespassers. Hold on. That doesn't make any sense.
Direct order, man.
No, let's talk to her. Let's figure out what she knows.
I don't give a fuck what she knows. You saw what she did to the others?
You have no idea.
Deep in the background, Dina.
I don't care how many people she's with. We will find them and we will kill them.
Can you just think for yourself for a quick
Jordan,
second
get the
right
fuck
now?
out of my way.
Jesus. Come here.
Dina!
This is the first time Dina realizes that she's like really not okay. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I love because
It's the hints of the obsession. Of
Yeah.
like she's losing herself to this chase instead of what's actually happening right now.
And really, really to their detriment.
And it was important when we were writing this scene to have the death be relatively quick. And then you can't even linger and think about it. And again, this just kind of push forward of like, maybe the next one will be more satisfying. Or maybe the one after that will be more satisfying. The first kind of like draft we have of all Seattle is Sucker Punch Games made Infamous Second
Yes.
Son, which takes place in Seattle. So they gave us a 3D model of all of Seattle as a
Wow.
starting point. And then we just spend a lot of time just like mapping out the entire story and where like Ellie and Abby go. So we have this very intricate map of all the location. And based off of that, we said, okay, now we need a map that they could point to in the cinematic to get us to the TV station as the next location.
I remember one of my first meetings, or one of my early meetings at Naughty Dog was with M, and who's a lead designer at Naughty Dog, and she had spent a lot of time figuring out how Seattle would be flooded in the future. So a lot of the actual flooding you see is semi-accurate to how it would happen if there was that much water happening.
M was the one that pitched Seattle initially.
Oh, really?
Because she felt that it had the most kind of unique locations that we could move through and had a lot of verticality within the city.
Let's go get Leah. Hey, look.
This is the foreshadowing pregnant scene.
This is my least favorite part of my performance. I'm not kidding. Nauseous performance. It really, every time I see it, I'm just like, that's not good.
Is that your Achilles heel?
Oh, there's a lot. Hiding behind walls and, no.
You could hear
No.
the puke splashing on the ground.
I did hear that. They helped me there.
And that, again, it's another one of those things where like the audio department, let me listen to like several versions of puke hitting the ground and picking one.
Ew. I always feel like whenever I have to act like I'm throwing up, I always start dry heaving. Because once you get that, then you're like...
Like a cat with a furball?
Yeah.
Here's my big moment.
This is your big performance.
Here she is.
Do you say that because that body's much taller than Hallie?
Everything is.
For those people listening, Hallie's a tiny, tiny, tiny little person.
Really portable.
Yeah, these
that's the
scenes
best
these
part.
scenes are really hard to write, because again, we're trying to make it a character moment, but give you enough information to go forward in the clue chain towards finding who you need.
And giving you, new information so it doesn't feel repetitive, right? We're opening up the world progressively with each sort of expository beat as well.
There's this really nice beat at the end here where like Dina calms Ellie down and takes the pictures from her.
It's all of them.
It's really nuanced here what you're doing, Ashley, but there's just this like anger that's starting to bubble up as you look at this stuff and like, look at their fucking smiles. There it is.
Just looking so happy.
There she is.
That's her.
Laura Bailey.
That's the one who killed him.
And that's the Last of Us 2 theme, which is like a reverse version of the Last of Us 1 theme that Gustavo created for this.
Hey there, Tiger.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can see
Tiger.
it. How you, it's, yeah.
Support Unit India en route to the TV station. Repeat, support
Shit.
Unit India en route.
Yeah, we should get going.
Is that you, Hallie? That voice?
I was just wondering that myself. I'm
Because
like,
it
that
is you
kinda
later. I think that
sounds-
might have been
Sounds
you.
like- yeah.
Oh,
Here.
this is
Yeah, this
the
is the
mask
scene.
break.
I remember just fighting. I was like, I just have to make sure her hands never touch the mask.
I remember talking to you about this, Neil. Like you were like, it's like she's committing suicide in front of you. Is like what it is.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Because
you
as
know.
far as you know, she is.
Yeah, and so that's where that reaction came from. Was he was like, she's killing herself in front of you, is what it looks like to you.
I'm immune, I'm pregnant scene.
Got it.
Yeah, it's just, this is where the obsession, I think this is the first time it's really getting in between them, that there's now personal conflict starting to form.
Yeah, there's a real standoff towards the end of this scene too.
Hallie, do you remember, this was your first week at Naughty Dog, and we had an outline. Some of the major beats were there, and you had the idea of like, what if we made Dina pregnant?
Yeah, because we were I think it was on my first day, and the problem we were trying to solve was we want these two girls to go to Seattle together. We want to have Ellie to have this conduit to talk about her feelings and maybe this thing to pull her back. But how do we keep? How can we narratively hold Dina back so that Ellie can do a bunch of these missions alone? Because so much of this is about the singularity of the obsession and the loneliness of that and how hard it is to be alone in this world. And I just threw it out there. Let's knock her up.
What's interesting too with, if you think about the first game, over the course of the journey with Joel and Ellie, is they slowly open up more to each other and reveal more of their secrets. And these characters are kind of doing the same thing. They're both holding back on secrets. So even though it's a very angry scene, they're revealing everything to each other. You were telling the truth.
Maria and
Yeah, bitch.
and Joel are the only ones who know.
I'll just speak the subtext for all these scenes.
Please do.
New.
I found this scene really hard because it was one of the. I mean, we literally. You have two very like big reveals or reactions that could have been like really soapy if I did it wrong. You know, it's like the I'm pregnant and also like the chemical burn. You know, like that. That's really tough.
Well, it's
and
like, because I remember we talked a lot about that, which is. You just thought your friend was going to die in front of you. You thought you might have to shoot them in front of you.
Yeah, it really opens with
so
her
you
being
have this
like, I'm gonna be
moment of
alone,
like
yeah.
sadness, relief, and also, by the way, I'm pregnant.
A lot of the times when Ellie's in severe conflict, she like one of the things that I find very relatable is like suddenly she loses eye contact. Like it just goes inward. Everything just goes into this inward rage that is so nuanced, and I don't know how you could really pull this off in a game a decade ago maybe, because there's so much beautiful facial that you do that they're able to capture.
Yeah, I feel like I talk about this all the time. Like this game, I don't think would have had the impact or any of that without. I mean, there's so many people that make up the performance that you end up seeing and playing, and I feel like you can give it your all, but if you don't have the right people that are sitting there for, I don't know how. I mean, years and years.
It's sculptors.
Yeah.
It's animators. It's lighting artists. Even if you don't get the right lighting, the performance doesn't come through.
Right.
And all that stuff just takes a lot of effort and iteration, like so much iteration to get it right, and to try to that moment we felt on the stage to draw it out in a CG character is a lot of work.
So much work to really nail the anxious, avoidant attachment style. It's gorgeous. It's like we all understand, you know?
The way she handled it, it's like almost like a religious artifact or something. That there's like it's like a medium. It's like a connection to Joel.
Yeah.
Well, it is, right? Because we tie it to every flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that the attachment to Joel is through music. It's funny, over the course of shooting this, how long did it take to shoot? Just
like 3 years.
Yeah, like 3 years.
Well, actually, we shot the trailer where you play guitar before we even made Uncharted 4. Because we had started working on this game, and then the game went on pause for 2 years before we picked it back up. Hey, look, Ellie's learning.
Hey.
One of the things I really appreciate about your performance, Ashley, is how you're able to so seamlessly jump between these different ages and different levels of innocence that this character has.
Thanks.
Just need to build up your callus.
I also now watch this. I'm like, that guitar is so expensive. Why are you just leaving it right there?
Leaving it out there?
I wanted to show how did Ellie learn how to swim? Because that was such a big plot point in the first game.
Yep.
It's just nice to see things were okay for a while between these two.
I remember feeling, this is a good thing to be back into. Like we're jumping into summer. We're jumping into, like you said, when things were good.
This is a culmination of so many things, right? So for this moment of just Ellie's love of space, of Joel wanting to make this like moment just beautiful for her Walkman. And this idea that Ellie sometimes has such a strong imagination and can go into her own head. Wow. Actually started with the comic book, the American Dreams comic book. So when she looked at the Raj's arcade, she was able to picture it with like children running around. It's like the idea that she's so in love with the old world that she does whatever she can to kind of live in it.
Happy birthday, kiddo.
And that's we got the idea to really go in her head and make you feel as if she's traveling to space.
Take it.
There is such a unique nervousness, anticipation, and joy that comes with a parent trying to give their kid the perfect gift.
Right. And if they like it, it's the best feeling in the world.
And if they don't, it's terrible.
It'll be worth it.
Close your eyes.
And for people familiar with the first game, the DLC of Left Behind, there's a big parallel here for when Riley tells Ellie, close your eyes. And she makes her picture this arcade game. And it's like as if these two people just know Ellie so well of what would make the perfect gift for her.
15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4.
And again, our lighting team did such an awesome, because there's so much that needs to be conveyed here with just lighting. And so they're animating these lights and then changing the reflection on the glass. There's a lot of tech here, a lot of careful crafting to get this moment.
I also love that we're just with Ellie in this moment, you know?
It's like you just need Gustavo to do this little riff.
That's it.
And it takes it over the top.
Oh,
This-
the scene is so beautiful but so sad to me. Just because I know what's coming. And just seeing Joel trying so hard to reconnect and regrow this relationship with Ellie again. You can see his guilt. You can feel at least shame. It's like, but yeah, I watch it and I think it's such a beautiful scene, but there's that level underneath it that's heartbreaking to me.
It was really important for us to have these happy memories that are obviously mixed with like some negative feelings she has about Joel and the choices that he's made. But ultimately, I believe the positive, the happy memories overwhelm the negative.
Well, I think Ellie is so driven by her own shame and guilt, and you need to know why. And it's because there was something worth saving. There was a true loss here. And part of that is her own decision to emotionally protect herself by distancing herself from Joel. But it had a cost.
And no matter how happy a sequence we have, it's just this lie and this choice that Joel made is hanging over these characters. As a reminder for Ellie is like, you can't fully let this thing go. Awkward.
Let's get a move on.
I really don't want to talk about this right now.
It's always so exciting to see, because obviously when we're shooting this, we're on a soundstage and I picture us being there, but it's always so much better when I finally see it in the game. It's always such a better version of it than I had in my mind.
More puking. This is, you could really hear the puke splashing.
This one I feel more comfortable with.
Hey. How hot do I look right now? Me to be fixing some kind of computer and then puking in the middle.
Really proves how much Ellie loves Dina, because going up to someone that just puked and getting close to them, that's a lot.
I mean, to be fair, she did stay up all night tracking the radio stuff.
I know, but she also puked.
Like, listen, if I had to date one, I think Dina.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
I would steer clear of Ellie.
Maybe Tommy got to him.
Maybe.
What about her?
There's this moment, again, we don't, Ellie doesn't, there's a moment where she looks to Dina and then she realizes like how much Dina's been doing.
The numbers.
You could see the appreciation in her face.
The TV station.
I remember this because I felt so bad. Because the way you were just playing it, you were just so sick, but you were like, I feel like I need to pull my weight. Since I had called you a burden, and I felt like such a piece of shit.
This move right here of like scooting in and this back rub thing is such an Ashley move.
Well, it's also because we couldn't get too close because when we'd stick together,
We'd
otherwise she
stick.
would have held me.
Yeah.
Last night was stupid.
Casualties reported in 14. All available units report. Over. This is Site 13. Unit Lena nearby. How many scars you got? Over. Negative on scars. Lone male trespasser. Armed.
Lone male
Over.
trespasser.
And then this was, again, we wanted to leave Dina behind because we wanted this Ellie by herself, just these really lonely pursuits. And I felt like it was really hard to justify how we're going to pull it off. But I felt like this scene does a good job of, it shows Dina tries. No matter, like, even if she feels like shit, she wants to be there to help Ellie.
Okay.
In The Last of Us, there's a lot of totems that come to represent certain people, whether it's Joel's watch, Ellie's switchblade, the guitar that's shared between Ellie and Joel. And now it becomes this bracelet that Dina gives Ellie as a good luck charm. It's like this chamsa. which is a very Middle Eastern thing that was very much in my family. Yeah, I love that. I love that she gives it to her for.
Wait.
It will keep her safe. It's a Hamsa and an evil eye within it.
It's for good luck.
I don't believe in luck.
Did we ever establish how Dina got that? Whether that was from her sister?
I think it was from her sister, but
Yeah, that's what's in my mind, but I don't know if we ever explicitly say that. There's a lot of like foreshadowing here too, of like the
Yeah.
splitting up, and then later the splitting up at the farm. Oh, this is the scene that everybody hates us for.
The great mislead.
The great mislead. Yep.
I guess maybe we should talk about that. When we released that first trailer for the game, a lot of people guessed that Joel was dead. And we were worried that after that point, it'll be too obvious. So how can we throw them off the scent? And that's when we came up with the idea of swapping Joel and Jesse here, which I have mixed feelings about in hindsight. It got people excited about something that wasn't there. And, our motivation was in the right place of trying to protect the story, but didn't maybe think it through of how it might upset some people.
I remember when that trailer came out, then everybody I knew assumed that then it meant I was going to die.
Right.
And
Which then we just leaned into with other trailers.
Yeah. And everybody was like texting me being like, oh my God, you die. Like, and they were like, it's so embarrassing for you. I was like, what? Wait, I can't say anything. And I was just like, lol. LOL. Haha. Meanwhile, I think when the trailer came out, we were in the studio that day. We were doing VO, and so we were like watching all the, and I was like,
yeah.
Uh-oh.
I also like that we get to establish, Jesse's in charge, but we never get to see why. Why is this guy so good at what he does? And now we get to see it and get to experience it in gameplay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then The Last of Us, unlike Uncharted, we don't rely as much on set pieces, especially big stuff like this, but this was such a climactic level that we called Rescue Jesse, that we wanted this climactic driving sequence where they crash in the water. And then there was a lot of debate of like design-wise, do we want to walk all the way back to the theater? So decided against it. So this was just to set the tone that Ellie and Jesse got away. They are not being actively chased. And this is just a little trick that we do is pull the camera away from them, and then that will allow us to cut to where we need to place them. Also an interesting dynamic that we talked a lot about, this triangle between Ellie, Jesse, and Dina. And the thing we really didn't want to do is any sort of jealousy about, are Dina and Jesse going to get back together? Like, it was never about that.
Oh my God.
But it was just more Ellie feels isolated.
You okay?
And in some ways, I'm curious to hear what you think, Ashley, but I think she kind of wants to be. She doesn't want to be part of this reunion, and she just wants to dwell on what's next.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel like I was trying to play it, because I can relate to that. When you're like going through something and you're like, I don't want to go through this with anybody else because it's going to be dark. So I'm just going to do it myself.
I heard you're sick.
That sequence takes us to one of the flashbacks. There's a whole history with Joel and how Ellie feels about Joel and what Joel did in the hospital. And she doesn't let Dina into any of that. This is just their own personal thing that she's carrying, and she's still wrestling with that after his death.
Ellie is very not great at talking about her feelings, which I think is why she's on this mission, because she's not using her words.
That's very much a parallel to the first game where after the David sequence and Ellie's lost in thought, and then it's like Joel saying, Ellie. I think Ellie has like some OCD thing where she gets fixated on things and just shuts the world out. I love how funny Jeffrey is in this scene.
Mm-hmm. He's such a yenta.
Yeah.
Y'all shooting up there, right?
Oh, just some stragglers. Ellie got to try out my scope.
This was a fun scene.
How'd you like it?
Yeah, feels good.
Oh.
The two adults don't really understand what's going on, which is Ellie is like this resentment or this curiosity, whatever it is about what Joel did is growing. And this thing that she thought she could let go, she can't. And they just attribute it to like, oh, teenager. She's being a teenager.
Well, there's that music store down there. I bet they got guitar stuff.
Maybe you should just take him out for an ice cream. Maybe you guys should just hang out.
I love how he did that lane, and I love the tapping of his foot under the table.
Where's that kiddo?
Yeah, sure, Joel, whatever.
He's so excited.
And that's our cue.
He's like, I did my job. Yeah, the engineering of this scene, it was important to show that the constant cost of having not made a cure.
Okay.
And here we have these two runaways from Jackson that have succumbed to the infection. And one more reminder for Ellie that things could have been different.
Thanks.
Yeah. But she wouldn't be here.
We're also ignoring one of my favorite exchanges in the whole game, which is realizing that Joel does not know that Ellie is gay at this point, which comes right before this.
Oh my God, that's right.
Where he just assumes there's something going on between her and Jesse, and she's like, she's like, sure, for sure, totally.
Yeah.
It's like he sees her, but there's like a little bit of he can't quite fully see the full her.
Jackson is a wonderful place, but we got tired of hearing the stories of people suffering everywhere else.
These are some of the hardest scenes to do, where there's just a lot of exposition and making it seem natural, like as if she's reading this note for the first time and reacting to it. And again, you two did just such a fantastic job of just, I always feel like I'm just watching these characters.
Love Adam and Sydney.
I love the lighting here. Just the way it's framed and silhouetted. It's so
Into
simple.
the wood. Planks. So pretty.
Only they were immune, right?
That look, it's like she's trying to egg you on to start this conversation.
Let's go get Tommy and we can get these bodies back to Jackson.
No. Let's talk about this right now.
After you took me out of the Firefly Hospital, you said there were dozens of people like me.
This is the moment he's been dreading, right? Being confronted head on again with this lie.
Yeah, that's what they told me.
I've never met another immune person before. Have you?
Small details, like we had to do different versions of the tattoo. You could see she's got it outlined. It's not filled in yet at this stage.
Do you believe that?
There's something about a child confronting their parent, the standing in their power, and how trepidatious, even though like she has the conviction of her argument, right? But just how it still is a thing to stand up to your parent and see me as an adult.
Why did you pull me out of there while I was still
What he's doing here is kind of fucked up, though, because he gaslights her. He's saying is like, you're bringing this up now next to these bodies, and he's making her feel shame for having just brought up this topic.
Right.
Maybe if you just would have given them more time, they could have figured something out.
There was no cure.
That is what I've been telling myself.
There's nothing that could help these people or anybody
Like,
else.
how many times have I told myself this? Like, if she ever asks, this is what I will tell her.
Yeah.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. But they ain't.
And he just shuts it down.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's such great performance with very little dialogue, but you could see how it's just breaking her heart because she doesn't believe any of this.
No.
Is there something else you'd like to rehash?
No, because you'll just lie about it.
Yeah, that to me is the greatest sin.
And the way you're delivering that no, it's like there's a challenge to him. Like, okay, if that's what you want to say, then we'll go with that.
Yeah, because it's just like, no, I don't want to rehash anything else because you're just not going to tell the fucking truth again.
I gave you a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ending images.
Hmm.
Oh, I liked your action here, Shannon, which is use your teeth to cut the thread.
Yes, same.
Did I do that?
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That adds up.
There's so much survivalist intimacy in this game.
He's a good guy. Why didn't you tell him?
There's so much you could read out of those faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about this? Anything worthwhile?
And there's that fucking map
Yeah, this
again.
is this is where the conflict starts to bubble back up between these two.
It makes it so much more sad because it's like, just stick with Dina. Look how you have love and care.
It's so interesting because it's what The Last of Us is about. It's like
Yeah.
within this room right now, you have like two kinds of love. There's this very positive one with Dina, and this kind of negative one of like, I gotta get the people that hurt the person I love, Joel.
Wait, you're gonna go now?
Yeah.
And where now the negative one is trumping the positive one.
Just wait for Jessie to rest up.
She could be gone by then.
She's got to make the lamb stop screaming, you know?
We know her location.
And she's using Tommy as an excuse in a very minor way now, and a much more significant way later. And it's funny. It's like all these people, like Maria, Tommy, and now Dina realize I can't convince her otherwise. She's just gonna go do it. So all I could do is support her.
Well, it's addiction narrative,
Yeah.
right? It's like you have to wait until they bottom out.
And it's the foreshadowing that eventually Dina says, I can't do it anymore. Oh, Hotline Miami. Or as this lady is so famously known as Vita Girl.
Oh, yeah, because she's got her PS Vita.
And yeah, this scene was already kind of like laying out hints that
We're in the hospital.
even if Ellie's trying to avoid violence, it's going to find her. Right? So she doesn't mean to kill this person.
You gotta respect her efficiency, though.
I mean,
One shot.
one shot wonder.
Mm-hmm. No looking back either. Straight to gameplay.
Oh yeah, this.
Don't scream.
I mean, Nora's
Put that shit down.
pretty smart in this scene.
Yeah.
Is that she knows she needs to get under Ellie's skin to just rattle her so she could get away.
You remember me?
But she still doesn't know who Ellie is until the next scene.
You remember me.
What do you want?
Abby was here earlier. Where'd she go?
I love all these scenes where like Ellie's trying to be like Joel. She's trying to interrogate
Yeah.
people the way Joel would, and there's always something a little off about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also
Think about letting you go.
sometimes I feel like we can forget that she's only 19.
Right.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to hurt anybody unnecessary.
Fuck out of
Yeah.
Jackson.
But just going on this journey is like you're not going to be able to help it.
Yeah, I feel like each time
You still hear his scream?
she kills somebody, it's not as easy as it was kind of for Joel. Because each death feels like it's leaves something with her.
Yeah. Yeah, that little bitch got what he deserved.
Opportunities where we wanted Ellie to use her superpower, which is her immunity, to get out of these like precarious situations. I remember the establishing of the geography was tricky here, and like how do we separate these two characters?
Yeah. How do you spot the goal?
Right. And there's this progression that with each one of these like revenge kills, we wanted Ellie to lose more and more of her humanity in a way that she doesn't even understand what is happening to her. So you could see a lot of this, and again, I love how you play this, which is you're amping yourself up. You kind of know what you're going to have to do here. And having the willpower, again, to hurt someone to such a degree.
Yeah, there's a bit of a trying to stall a little bit. Like, maybe there's some other way out of this.
There are no fireflies anymore.
Where's Abby?
Yeah, now we're at a point where she thinks all she needs is Abby to feel better about the whole thing.
And that's where it feels like you can feel that she's still a kid because she's looking for this thing to try to fix it, and that's not it.
It's interesting to think about the scene from Nora's perspective, which is like how much she's willing to sacrifice to try to help her friend. She's bracing herself because she knows what's coming.
Knows.
Like, Nora's a pretty commendable character from the other side.
And it was important to just add this little bit of interactivity to make the player complicit in this. There's a parallel of an image there when Ellie goes to enter Joel's house, her hand shakes, and then she grabs the handle, and now her hand is shaking from the violence she's committed against Nora. And it just shows that as much as she wants to be like Joel, she's not Joel. I think Joel could disassociate more, just remove himself from the impact that his violence has in a way that Ellie cannot.
Ellie doesn't have as much practice with it.
She also has, I think, more empathy.
I think so.
I also think she needs it more than he did. I think for Joel, killing is practical, and for Ellie, it's emotional.
Right. We see Joel in the first game tortures a couple of guys, and he just moves on. And then Ellie just did it, and it will forever change her.
Yeah, that's not something you can take back.
The torturing we've seen of Joel's has always been toward a productive purpose, right? It's to help or to save or to learn in a way to be a protector. And Ellie is just a destroyer.
Love this performance. This is a very expensive part of the game, by the way. One of the things in live action is you get for free is putting a shirt on or taking it off. In a CG world or in video games, it's extremely expensive and hard. And we had to write in this whole physics simulation on this shot, this right here. This is so tricky to pull off. We're seeing it at the same time that Dina is seeing it. Like, look how beat up she is. Look how much she's already gone through.
Often when you play video games, your character or any of the characters in the game are impervious, right? They live or they die. It's pretty binary. And this allowing us to show the wear and tear on her body and allowing the violence to have an impact, not just emotionally, but also visibly, again, humanizes all of the characters in this game.
There's so much happening there with almost no dialogue.
That scene is tough. Like, taking her shirt off and exposing her and her grief there, because it's not just about what she did, you know? Like, there's so much grief, and she hasn't expressed anything yet, right? Like, it's the first time you really see it, and so there's this urge to, like, care for that, but then also that anxiety of, like, I'm losing this person.
Right.
It's really painful to even watch and, like, talk about. Like, it's really heavy. It's just such a universal theme there.
I was one of the ones.
Right. Oof. Yeah.
And the girl.
And we talked a lot about how could Ellie draw the truth out of him. And even when confronted with facts, he might not say the truth. It's what makes him ultimately do it is the threat. of like, I will disappear and you'll never know my fate. And that's the worst thing she could
worst
threaten
thing.
him with. A lot of iteration on this horse animation right here. Trying to make it as believable as possible.
This hug. Just the unrequited hug.
I've definitely had those moments with my kids where it's like they're mad at me over something.
You talk to me.
I feel like it's such I mean, as thinking of like when I was a kid, it's so hard to reciprocate a physical hug like that when you're so angry.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you can't touch me right now because I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Tell me.
It's like I don't even know if Ellie knows what she's expecting here. She just wants a more I think she just wants a more plausible story, but there's a part of her that maybe is still in denial of what he's going to say.
Yeah.
I also remember you being so patient, Neil, with this. It was...
You will never see me again.
It was so important to just let each line land where it needed to land and the response to come when it had to come.
I'll go back to Jackson.
Because we did this a lot of times. We all were very patient with this one.
I love watching your performance right here, Trev, like Joel doing the math of like, do I say it? Do I not say it? And then right here, he's resigned. He's going to say it. And she just needs to push him over the edge. But look at him. He's so torn. It's so great.
The first word is the hardest.
And he does need to spell the whole thing out for her because she knows.
Yeah,
she knows what this meant.
Would have killed you.
Ashley, there's something that you did that is just so powerful. It's that, without even saying it, just the clutching, like I can't breathe. Like it's literally taking the air out of me, and
It's so much information to find out,
Yeah.
but something that she's always known, but to actually hear it. And also knowing that, oh, wow, you have been lying to my face every time that I've asked you about this. And also the purpose that she had is kind of now gone.
Yeah.
Well, the sacrifices that all the other people made, right? Which is like Riley and Tess and Henry and Sam and everybody along that journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Going that whole journey in it.
What was it? It can't be for nothing. It can't be for nothing.
Yeah, I feel like the killing of Nora was a really big turning point. I feel like emotionally for Ellie. Because, oh man, I love that part. Just to see how much she's been through physically.
Yeah, for me, that was one of my favorite sort of moments. Is so much in video games the characters feel infallible, or even if they take hits, they're still great, and to show that this isn't just an external cost. She's destroying herself.
The Ellie and Jesse relationship is really kind of fascinating, of the respect these characters have for one another and the shared love they have for Dina. Yeah, this was a cool shot of just showing what's at stake. We just keep pursuing this thing endlessly.
I aspire to be Jesse when I grow up.
Me too.
Yeah.
Such a good dude.
She had a rough night.
Yeah, also the idea of secrets, right? Characters holding on to these secrets, right? The idea that she's pregnant is a secret that Jesse figures out.
Is she pregnant?
And then, right, it's, again, knowing how much Ellie wrestles with characters not telling her the truth.
Yeah. And I think so much of the wrestling with that was like, I shouldn't be the one to tell this information. It's not my place to, but yeah, I don't want to.
Don't want to
I
lie.
don't want to lie.
She needs real care, and she's not going to get that.
Yeah, I know.
This is starting to lay track of the choice that's coming later of I can't just leave Tommy as rationalization. Now that she's like, she had some time away from the torture, the obsession, the call of the hunt is coming back up.
The justification, which, again, has learned from Joel.
Yeah, whittling these scenes down to just the bare essentials, just to make them as tight as possible, to get back to gameplay. That was quite a bit of iteration.
Which I feel like speaks so much to what you all do at Naughty Dog, is like the scenes don't have a ton of dialogue, and so much of it is just through looks or movements.
Yeah, well, we're in a privileged position in that we have the budget and the animators and like the talent that could like translate what you're doing on stage pretty much one-to-one to what comes out on screen. But it does take a lot of effort.
Let's go tell her we're leaving then.
I'll just meet you.
No.
Like, yeah, he's got a lot to process, right? It's just...
Yeah, he just found out he's a dad.
He just found out he's a dad. And this is like this goodbye, because any one of these excursions, you might not come back. And Ellie's surrounded by all these people that want to support her, and they don't quite understand the darkness of the obsession.
I need you to lock the door for us.
How do you leave that little punum behind?
I know.
Look at her.
Yeah, and this is where the obsession completely takes over, where it's like, we can go for Tommy, or we can go for Abby, but we can't do both. And Ellie rationalizes that going after Abby would be the better choice.
The marina through here.
No, we're taking her boat.
You heard them, right? They're talking about Tommy.
We don't know that.
Who else is it going to be?
If it is him, he'll be gone by the time.
And it's so fascinating to think about someone that just has put so much weight of like people being honest to each other. And here she's lying to Jesse and lying to herself.
Yeah, I think so much of it is her own avoidance.
You do this, I'm not saying.
And now Jesse just sees how dangerous she's become in this obsession, and she's losing even him. And it's so hard to lose Jesse. Yeah, and a lot of the construction of this game was these long stretches where Ellie would just be by herself. So to put these scenarios where we separate her from the people that love her, and wanting the player to feel as alone as she does.
Don't come back from that island.
The roughest scene in the game?
And one of them,
I'm not fucking going there.
Then don't.
Ashley Birch, Patrick Fugit.
seeing these glimpses of this other crew and not quite understanding what this fight is about or what the conflict is.
Hands up.
Only later just getting the rest of the context. And this is Ellie trying to be Joel. Ellie trying to do the Joel technique of... And this is another one of the situations where Ellie doesn't want to kill them. She just wants Abby. But the situation gets away from her. I love that she's just on razor's edge of just her emotions completely taken over.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't quite, because she's inexperienced in this type of behavior, she doesn't quite have the calm, cool, and collected way of doing it like Joel did.
What are you doing?
Yeah, and we wanted in this exploration of, the pursuit of justice at any cost, that to show that there's always a cost. And, in the cycle of violence, there's often unintended consequences. And the idea that Ellie inadvertently kills a pregnant woman just felt like a great metaphor for that. But it definitely horrified some of the people at the studio that heard this pitch.
Yeah. It's an interesting question of, at this point in Ellie's obsession, what could she see that would make her pause, that would make her seriously question after torturing Nora, after leaving Dina behind?
Well,
You need something big to wake her up.
And I love how you play this panic attack right here. And just the audio design for it as well. And we do this trick when Tommy comes in. We actually recorded a line with Troy. So she hears Joel for like a split second. So you show like all these things are just interconnected in her mind now. All these like traumatic events.
Yeah, she's not built for this.
And just show what a good guy Jesse is. It's like he went and got Tommy and said, "We gotta hurry and get to Ellie at the aquarium."
Mm-hmm.
And this was another like clue chain thing we needed to do to set up for later with Abby, is the idea that Ellie has this map, and in the chaos of this whole moment, she dropped it and didn't even realize it.
It's completely covered in snow.
Nah, by the time we get there, this whole area will be thawed.
Yeah, this is a bunch of obsessed characters, except for Jesse. Jesse is the most moral character in the story.
What are you guys doing?
That all have to accept that it's time to go home.
Come take a look at
That
this.
it has to be okay if
Thought is to head home via Ellen.
some of them get away with it.
We're in Fall City by tomorrow. We're doing good.
It's like these two, they have to convince each other.
Hey. They got what they deserved.
Yeah.
But she gets to live.
So much, so much pent up energy under that line.
He's still not on board. He's like, well,
There is something interesting about how, like, Ellie doesn't see living as the punishment it is. Like, living with loss is the punishment it is, even though it's destroying her. In a weird way, for Ellie, like, it would almost be... She's suffering so much, and there's no peace, but she doesn't see that enough to say, I'm okay with Abby living with that level of suffering.
oh, yeah.
And losing everyone she loves. Like, I've made her life miserable. And that would be the triumph.
Yeah, in her mind, it's like she doesn't know what life she's living. She doesn't know what burden she's carrying. She's like, any kind of life, she hasn't paid the price for what she did.
It's funny, and yet Ellie is incapable of living herself, right? She's incapable of...
I know what gold
It's interesting.
And this is Tommy just trying to make light of the whole thing.
Can we say it's from all of us?
Ha! You find your own damn bribes.
I really like this, the relationship between Ellie and Jesse, and just how much respect they have for each other. I really like this moment right here.
How you doing?
Jesse's just kind of the best. He's the most mature, level, reasonable guy.
And Steven is such a cool dude.
Yeah.
Such a cool dude.
He's just
He's
super
like
chill and like, he's kind of like a cowboy.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's
got
like so
a-
positive too. He's
Yeah.
even when he'd be like, I'm real tired, real tired.
Because over the course of the game, he went from, like, newly married to having
Several
triplets?
children. Yeah, I think like several children.
My friends can't get out of their own damn way.
It's like my friend's problems are my problems. Like, and he puts everybody else over him.
He would have been a great baby daddy.
And no good deed goes unpunished.
Ugh,
Hands in the air, I shoot this
I love how abrupt it is.
me too.
Get out of here!
Stand up! Now!
Don't you fucking dare!
Shut the fuck up!
This is one of the few scenes that Ellie and Abby are together. And when we're making the game, it felt like we were making two very separate games
Yeah.
with two different casts of characters. And then when they combine, it was such a strange feeling.
Toss your weapon!
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want.
And she doesn't get it.
Just let him go.
She doesn't know what this is about.
You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
Cut to black.
Dad? Baby Abby.
You can tell because her braid is so much shorter.
It's interesting in hindsight now watching how when players do this, they think, oh, I'm just going to get a little bit of a glimpse into who she is. They don't know yet, you're only at the halfway point. Of course, the zebra comes because, again, this is part of the Salt Lake City Zoo where the giraffes escaped that we saw in the first game. Zebra, played by the wonderful Chris Robbins, who doubled for a lot of stunt work as well for many characters on this game and the first game.
I bet nobody ever asked him to be a zebra before.
No, but man, he did a good
nailed it.
job of being a zebra tied up in barbed wire. And he's like this big former football player, and he's just knocking everybody around here.
I love Pat just coming in like,
what's going on?
I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is this?
Come on. You got it tight?
right, and then this was originally a mini game where you had to cut the wires off of the zebra.
We worked on it for quite a while, and just
We
eventually.
did. That was a long scene of,
Yeah.
okay, now hold still.
Yeah.
Right there, that little slip in the mud. Again, that's hand animated.
What the fuck?
And then it's like, again, it's like the dad is acting like a child. And this was a stitch point because, again, the volume can only take you so far, and those stitches can be really tricky. But it was important in this project to always go outside the volume and just not make you feel. A lot of games, the performers could feel really constrained, like they're in a box. I wanted it to feel freer than that.
The one Marlene keeps talking about. They found her in the tunnels. She has an old bite mark on her arm. No signs of infection. That can't be. They're already running tests on her, but you gotta get down there.
Now there's like this glimmer of hope with Ellie and revealing that we're in that same giraffe location. All this beauty and wonderment happened in the first game. We always stick to the POV of the character you're playing as. So this was like why we're coming into this conversation late, is because you're hearing it when Abby hears it.
She's a child, not some petri dish. You
Merle Dandridge. Come
This is
back.
my first day meeting Merle.
And you're okay with killing her?
No, I'm okay.
Like Merle and I had so many conversations about how conflicted she was about what that has to happen, and then years later to visit the moment when she was arguing with Jerry.
Asking me? Are you telling me this is how it's gonna
I always like that we get more insight into these characters.
To buy in.
And what if this was
I like seeing Marlene advocate for Ellie behind the scenes because
Yeah.
she's so resolved in the first game and the show, and to see that actually privately she was advocating.
It's justified with this one act.
If this was your daughter.
And the parallel here with Jerry from the first game is he's repeating everything that Ellie says right outside on the giraffe sequence in the first game, which is like, all the sacrifices we've made, it can't be for nothing. He's making the same exact argument Ellie does. And then Abby walks in to give her dad an out.
Look, Marlene.
And Marlene is done arguing, especially in front of his daughter.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go tell Joel.
Why?
The ethical thing Marlene does here is like, I have to tell Joel, which is ultimately her fatal mistake.
Yeah.
I guess Jerry's fatal mistake too, but he allowed it to happen.
You're doing the right thing.
She sees how conflicted her dad is, and she tries to tell him it would be okay. I would want you to do it to me. And he can never admit that he wouldn't.
You don't think so?
Well,
I think he would.
that's what I love about this. It's like, but he never says it.
Yeah, he just kind of has that look of,
Maybe he's just glad that it's not her.
Yeah.
Is he still in the fucking building?
Oof.
Abby. Don't look.
We can't spare any of our characters from seeing the trauma firsthand.
yeah.
Joel with Sarah, Ellie with Joel, Abby with Jerry. And it's just this shared trauma between these characters, and now events are set in motion. And now we get to see the other side of what happened after Abby kills Joel.
Please stop. Please don't.
Forget again, this is such a collaborative process. I don't even remember where some ideas come from, if it was editorial.
I think it was editorial.
Yeah, but to see the scene again from Abby's perspective and now get the fuller context, which is the whole concept of this game of like, you have one notion of how things go down, and then we give you more context and make you question your initial feelings about it.
Whoa, what are you doing? Manny.
Cleaning up.
No.
You remember how hard Pat pushed
Alejandro?
He's right. We can't have loose ends.
Yeah, dude, this also good, but Pat specifically would just kind of lose himself in these moments.
Fuck your face. You should have been guarding the upstairs like I told you to. Move! Back up.
Calm down.
Or what? Back the fuck up!
Calm down!
Now then! You gonna shoot me?
Stop! We're done.
There's your fatal mistake.
done.
Not cleaning up your mess. And now, back to day one. And this is where I think the penny drops for most players that, oh my God, I'm going to have to replay this entire sequence from the other side. This was fun. City of Thieves was highly inspirational for the first game, written by Game of Thrones co-showrunner David Benioff. And I wanted to put it in the game, and I had just started working with Craig Mazin on a TV show, and he's friends with him. I'm like, can you ask them? He's like, oh, of course. And within 5 minutes, I had like a text message like, yeah, no problem, put it in the game.
I love that Abby and Manny are roommates, that they're just bros. Gender means nothing.
It's crazy because when we were filming it, I always thought of Manny as this like really fun loving. He is. He's this really fun guy, right? I hadn't even like registered the fact that he had in that scene, like he had spit on Joel. And so when I played it and he had done that, I was so angry at the character that it took so long to remember that he was a cool guy, a cool guy.
Why would it be up to Owen?
The irony that Ashley Birch, who plays Mel, has to play pregnant, while you, Laura Bailey, were pregnant. From a writing standpoint, this is hard, because we're introducing a brand new cast of characters that we're asking you to care about, and we're building a mission a quest about Owen that's not really related to the revenge quest you just played half the game with. But there's just a lot of track we have to lay to then get the interesting payoffs. Just showing how close these people that came from the Fireflies are, that despite that they're in a group that's very tribalistic, they have their own tribe within that.
And they can be very upset with each other, but there's a protectiveness of their own group.
This was hard on the dev side of, we captured the scene and we're like, okay, here you see a tower, now you're gonna pass the gate. And then we had to build all this real estate of this drive that's based on how much performance we have from you all.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And we iterated a lot on just this layout and this turn and like, okay, when should the truck stop? And then they have to add all the secondary motion to you all, like, because we're not in an actual truck when we shoot this.
But we all just kind of did this little shimmy shake as we were in that.
But we did shoot this with Roach, the dog.
Roach the dog, we did.
Remember when Roach would come on set?
In his mocap suit?
And in his mocap suit, playing Alice.
And the whole set would just...
Right, fall in love
Just
with
take
Roach.
pictures, just take selfies with Roach.
That's seriously, like, Roach days were just...
They were the best days.
They were the best.
There was originally a storyline where Mel was actually closer with Jerry because they worked so closely together, and there was like some level of contention, historical contention between Mel and Abby for his affection.
Right.
And we scrapped that because Mel needed to be so likable because she's such a hindrance to Abby's happiness.
Poor Danny. This is where Abby gets such a relief that it's not Owen, because this whole time there's this dread building that she thinks She's about to see Owen's body.
Where's Owen?
I don't know. A few days back, there were some scar sightings out by the marina.
The character model has incredible arms.
Yes, I was
Incredible
just looking at her arms. I mean, everybody talks about Abby's arms, but
Yeah, but damn.
Nora's arms.
Nora's the sleeper.
With a bullet in his stomach.
In this scene, we finally establish what's about to become Abby's next goal, which is rescue Owen. And we come back to the theme of this
What about Owen?
this series, which is love.
But he gave me that fucking look, and then he told me to keep quiet about it. Which
This is
means
one more
you can't
example of the tribe within the tribe of she's telling them stuff they should not know. Because she trusts them, she cares for them more than she cares for the wolves, the WLF.
Where is Isaac?
Now we gotta go see the big man.
Last I heard, he was in the apartments.
It's kind of cool to, again, build this guy up and then give you a glimpse of the person that runs the WLF.
Oh.
This was another one of those sequences where we didn't want to be confined to the volume. If I remember correctly, we mapped out with tape on the floor of like this floor. Then you go into just a marked area that's going to be the elevator, and then you come out, and the whole place is marked differently when you're in Isaac's suite.
Sir, Abby and Manny are here.
And here we have the fantastic and very scary Jeffrey Wright.
Don't let him fall asleep.
There's a dehumanization that happens when you're in conflict with another group for so long, and there's so many like retributions that they get to a place where you can't torture them because they're so dehumanized. And we get to see how easy it is for Isaac now that he just sees them as pure enemies. We met Jeffrey Wright because his son was such a big fan of the first game. And talking to him, I offered him this role, and he was very excited to take it on. So it was fun to work with him, even if a little intimidating at times, just because his gravelly voice is so creepy.
What's going on, boss?
These small skirmishes. Can't keep going like this.
Then what?
This was another obstacle we're throwing in Abby's way, which is, in the past, Isaac has given her a lot of rope because of how capable she is to pursue Joel. But here, he can't afford to have anybody leave because they're going to go all out to kill every last scar, as he would call it.
Sir, we try attacking their island.
I remember in like early iterations of the script, having a bunch of scenes, not a bunch, but having scenes with Isaac, where he was very much a mentor for her and almost like a surrogate father figure as she was growing up.
Those were early versions of the story, or
Yeah.
just in trying to shrink this behemoth down, we end up cutting. But the other thing you could see here is Jeffrey Wright has a limp. And the reason for that is if you look at the concept art, he has an amputated leg. And there's no opportunity to really see it, but the limp is still there.
Is Owen okay?
And then we did so many takes, and Jeffrey insisted on eating an apple on every take just to make it authentic. So he ate a bunch of apples.
To Laura's point, we wrote scenes. I remember drafting scenes where he's coming in as trying to be sort of a Tommy, like a father figure after she's lost her dad, and you come to realize how intimate their relationship is, but it's something that she will very quickly give up in the face of Owen being in trouble. And as soon as she connects with Lev, again, she's willing to give that up. But couldn't do it for time.
You get little hints of it because I feel like our relationship in this scene, you can see that he's given her things in the past. She's used to being able to
get her way.
And that one line, the way he lives it, like, stop gossiping about it. Like, the idea of that you guys need to stop, like, being this, like, Salt Lake City crew. You're part of a bigger group now.
Yeah.
There are things more important.
And we'll get to the bottom of it.
And even here, he's, like, saying, when the time comes, we'll do what's right.
Yeah, at this point, you find him to be, I think, torturing aside, like, he's a very fair leader with her. He's given her a lot, and then now he expects her to step up for ultimately, a 3-day assault.
The way he behaves, again, this is like we're on a broken record, which is he loves his people. He's going to go commit atrocities because of how much he loves the people that look up to him.
He's going to burn a village filled with children.
Right.
No way Owen killed Danny over some scar, right? What? No. Abby, don't.
I'll be back by morning. You just gotta cover me till then.
Isaac will kick your ass.
Not before the assault. You heard him.
Abby doesn't care about this assault in the same way that Joel didn't care about finding a cure. It's just about the people that are close to us. And now we head into her head for flashback.
The most fun scenes to shoot.
Stop it.
This was fun, watching you two be so playful.
They were like a little respite from all of the
horror.
The horror that we were shooting.
And again, establishing Abby has vulnerabilities, right? Not just emotionally, but she has a deep, deep, deep fear of heights, which then gives Lev an opportunity to help her.
Just interesting, these characters that here with Owen and then the other time with Joel, when he takes Ellie to the museum, of these gifts that they give the people that they love. And here it's like he brought her to show her this beautiful aquarium as a show of his love.
Well, he's trying to, right, in the same way as Joel after David, he is trying to get back to the Abby that was. He's trying to get back to the dynamic that they had. And he's putting all of his heart into bringing her joy in the hopes that he can get confirmation that that person is not dead.
It's getting late.
Yeah.
We had these long talks about how Abby, like, is so serious and doesn't want to joke around. She's not a jokester. And I think Pat just, like, took that and ran, because every single time we would shoot, he would try to make me laugh as we were shooting as, like, a challenge.
I'm serious. I will break up with you. Owen.
I always loved you.
Don't! Owen!
This was like a nice, short and sweet little cinematic.
Also a fun thing to shoot when you're, like, coming up from underwater.
And then I remember you have to do this prep as if you're diving and transition in and out of gameplay.
Uh-huh.
I like these kind of air pockets that would still have remained here. You held your breath a lot while shooting some of these scenes.
I love the scene.
Yeah, this whole sequence is for this scene. Like, but poor Owen loves Abby so much, and she's just so stuck with this, well, grief, I guess, that she can't let go. The injustice that she can't let go.
You could argue that what Owen is going through is a smaller version of what Abby is going through, right? Like, he's in love with this girl. He's fixated on her. He's ready to go on this journey with her and risk things for her, and all he wants in return is a little bit of love. And she just can't. She can't. This is just, she's not the person she was anymore.
It's this notion that somehow, if she's happy, she's disrespecting the loss of her father.
Yeah.
You want me to slow down?
No.
She can't allow herself to be too happy.
Is it this?
And he's still trying to make light of it. Look at him.
He's so cute.
We're disgusted by it.
Patrick Fugit is a very charming man.
Very.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Talk to me.
Just let him in.
I know all the leads have dried up, but Joel's still out there, you know?
I know.
And we get the sense that this is not the first time they're having this conversation.
No, this is the end of their intimate relationship, right? He's
Yeah.
going to try and move on
This is
with Mel. It's not going to work out.
This is the breakup scene.
Not how he envisioned this moment going, I have
No.
a feeling.
What about you?
I kind of this idea like look what I brought you. I brought you underwater. What else can I do?
There are seals swimming around.
It's just not enough.
So sad.
I mean, it's very much a parallel to what we see a much worse version of this in Ellie on the farm with Dina.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I told you already. Don't be sorry.
So this scene also, the sequence had to do a lot of work because we're once again resetting. You have to learn where she and Owen are in their relationship, feel that tension, feel the family dynamics.
Owen!
He's so surprised to see her.
Hey.
Hey. Is everything all right?
Yeah.
I love the set, man. The set took so many
Forever,
iterations to get
forever.
right, but it was really important that it felt gorgeous. Justify why this guy has holed up in here for so long. This is our Christmas episode.
Take in that view.
A thing you might not appreciate until you sort of really play this is this aquarium had to meet so many different needs because it's in so many different
Right.
levels. And so to make sure that all of those could work together was painstaking, especially for the layout designers.
Yeah, well, try that. Well?
The view is nice.
Oh, whatever. Philistine.
You want me to lie?
Yes, obviously. She's into this Christmas thing.
And again, look at this effort he puts in.
Yeah, there's this a beautiful tension between these characters that still clearly very much love each other.
But he did this for Mel, right?
Yeah,
this is
this
for
was-
Mel.
Right, but look how excited he is that Abby's here.
I know. He's trying to
I
move on.
doubt he's this excited when Mel's here.
Poor Mel.
But I think
Poor
he
Mel.
wants to be, right? I think he
Yeah.
wants to move on with Mel. He
'Cause
knows
he's-
she's inaccessible.
Well, yeah, Abby's a dead end.
Why are you in such a good mood?
Am I?
I love that he misreads this. Like he thinks this is somehow about him and now he's going to convince her to stay. But she's in a good mood because
I found Joel's brother.
they found Joel's brother.
He's at a settlement out in Wyoming.
How do you know that?
Some fireflies who served with him got picked up at the wall.
I thought he quit like a decade ago.
Yeah.
So, have these guys heard from him since?
It's a lead. I gotta see it through.
Okay, but you know that even if he is there, and you do find him, he might not know where Joel is, right?
Right, because at this point, we're already... Canonically, he's already starting to have issues killing scars.
Everyone's on board.
And we're not really talking about it, but there's some track getting laid. He's losing his taste for violence.
I like that he was the last person that she went to go talk to about this.
People go off base.
He already did.
Bullshit.
Who's more about justice than Isaac? He knows what Joel's done. We're doing this together, right?
I love that look. It's like, you promised me. If we get like any clue, you promised me. He doesn't want to be the last holdout.
But he's like Jesse. He's never not going to go if his people are going. Oh. The Paris sequence.
This scene.
Oh, yes.
Was this one of the first things we
Yes,
shot?
yeah, because it was for Paris Games
Yeah.
Week.
Paris Games Week, yeah.
We shot this way in advance.
I think it was like a day or two before we shot this that I'm like, we could do this all as one shot. And like I had sketched out like these kind of storyboards real quick, and then came up with this hazy plan with Matt Neapolitan, our cinematographer for this game.
Like take after take of getting dragged by your arms.
This was another one where we actually strung Laura up with, we had like 2 ropes, one that was around your neck to just give you a little bit of tension that you could lean into as much as you wanted, and then another one that held your body up in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, but man, this was so much work, and like we scrutinized the tiniest details in the scene.
When this came out originally, people thought that she was
Anna.
Anna.
That she was Ellie's mom.
We were watching the narrative of how Ellie came to be.
And these Seraphites that at times you might feel sorry for them and you see them getting tortured.
And
then see that, you know...
Oh, wait a minute.
Here, the lead Seraphites in the scene is played by Emily Swallow in Small World. She's of Mandalorian fame, acting along Pedro Pascal. And later we find out this is a bastardization of this thing of like freedom so they may know my love wasn't meant as like disembowel them.
Free them, that they may know my...
The intro of Victoria Grace plays Yara.
Yeah, this scene has a lot of heavy lifting. It's introducing like 2 major characters of Yara and Lev. Again, this idea that keeps repeating in this story of like the tribe within a tribe, that even though these are all Abby's enemies, Seraphites, somehow they have it in for these 2 kids.
And again, this is one of those weird opportunities. I know it sounds dark, but like in seeing the violence against these kids, it's much easier to immediately understand why Abby makes the choices she makes. They may be their enemy, but these are kids getting hurt.
Lighting a scene is really hard. Lighting a scene that's one take, where the camera's constantly moving around in 360 degrees and making sure all those angles still look good, is close to impossible. So kudos to our lighting team.
The face change, is she, ugh.
The face change, the flow of blood, the water, there's so many things that done improperly would take you out of the scene. And then we spent a lot of, even to the hands right there, I remember we spent so much time making sure you see the tension in the hands as she's suffocating. The shirt, and make sure the shirt felt wet and it's sticking to her skin, and it's a little bit translucent because it's wet. That's the kind of detail that Naughty Dog is crazy about.
Demons are coming.
So this is the introduction of Ian Alexander, and a fun thing to watch as you watch his face throughout the game is, I think it was lead character Ashley Swadowski came up with it, but if you look at his scars, one of them is a little crooked and wobbly, and the idea that like you see there's physical representation of his hesitation in this religion, even on the scars on his face.
And yet, I think the beautiful thing with him is that he remains a believer all the way through.
Yeah. His faith partly saved him, right? Because he saw the beauty in the intention.
Another scene that just, I say this over and over, but it's such beautiful, soft lighting.
Right, and so at this point, they've worked together for as long as they need to, but they're off to go on their separate missions. They don't need to be friends.
That taking off of the shirt is so hard. I can't tell people how hard it is. The raindrops again this window were difficult. My high school friend has become a renowned plastic surgeon, Jacob Steiger. And he gave me some advice here on this injury and what you would need to do to treat it.
Right, and this is also a reminder that while Abby took a different path, she comes from doctors, from care. She understands the body, even if she never particularly prioritized it.
Victoria and Ian were great in this. Just how Ian has to play both being scared for his sister and just angry at this wolf that he has to work with.
What's your name?
This is a recurring theme throughout both games, that the idea of giving someone's name is a way to show you trust them.
Thanks for cutting me down.
Love this theme again.
I like the conflict of leaving them, knowing you're dooming them.
Oh, this is... She thinks, I'll give them the warning and that'll be enough.
Sarah gets a lot of traffic. Whatever shape she's in, we need to get out of here by tomorrow.
I don't need your fucking help. The lighting on the hair. This game is still very impressive. This scene turned out to be a bit more controversial than we anticipated.
The irony here is, as much as this is the counterpoint sex scene to Ellie's sex scene, we don't... Oh, I guess we do show a little more.
We show a little bit more. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but I love this interplay between you two. And
I see.
yeah, we really wanted to give Pat something meaty. And this monologue, which he just, for my money, knocked it out of the park.
Danny's dead.
Of like visualizing this moment where he just can't do this violent thing anymore. It's not him.
You want to tell me what happened?
I like that she's been strung up and beaten and almost killed, and none of that's important right now.
Camp. It's just a couple scars and...
I just got to come in and sit down and watch him work.
And he goes down, and his weapon's right
and this
there.
idea of the tribe within a tribe, and
He doesn't go for it.
there's no secrets between these two.
Instead, he turns to me. And he's old.
The idea that he's just been sitting here drinking, conflicted, and I mean, he's about to leave his baby mama. That's how much he can't stay in this place. He feels like he's losing his soul. And this look right here, it's like there's a part of Abby that knows what he's saying is true. But that sense of duty to this group that has taken care of them is still there, but starting to erode.
I couldn't do it. Of course, Danny gets in my fucking face about
Well, we're watching her maturity in real time.
Especially having come of seeing two Seraphites up close and saving them too.
So I grab it, and then...
I like that there's so much like unspoken between them that's about to come to the surface of like Abby thinks he's so naive and he thinks what she did was so awful, but clearly they've never talked about it until now. And then there's the underlying love they have for each other and obviously attraction. It's all like, it's so messy. I like the messiness of this relationship. And it would have been like I know our goal here is to create empathy for Abby, to show you the other side of this journey. And this definitely was a risk to say, okay, she's going to have a sort of affair with this guy that got this other girl pregnant, her friend.
The fireflies aren't.
But this primal thing that's going on between them just overpowers logic.
It's a lead.
And to me, that was more important to create empathy, is to show how human they are, than to just make them righteous or right the whole time.
No, they're trying to define good in a gray world.
What about Mel?
And that means they have to make messes.
This little pause, that's a nice bit of acting.
She'll be safe here.
Okay. We'll talk in the morning when you're sober.
Don't do that.
Do what?
Treat me like I'm fucking insane. You feel the
He
same.
knows her more than she knows herself.
If the fireflies are in Santa Barbara, I go the opposite fucking
And
direction.
the resentment that she has for the fireflies, because in her mind, that's part of the reason her dad died, is...
They failed her.
Yeah. They failed in every way.
Yeah.
Sorry I grew up. You should try it.
It's just the insulting and just...
Oh yeah, how do I do that?
And this notion that's like your best friends can hurt you the most.
Cut into them? I could torture them until they're crying, you know?
And the flash of violence here, of anger, is like... Abby never talks about it, but clearly she is haunted by what she did to Joel.
Yeah. And he's finally seeing that.
Yeah, and then once they touch, it's over.
I think they're both incredibly lonely characters.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in this other relationship, but clearly he's lonely, and he's been longing for her. And I know people ask this question, why show this? Why you could end the scene right here.
I disagree, though.
But I disagree as well, because I think it's important to show the
conflict.
vulnerability, how vulnerable these characters can be with each other. But there's also, again, it's messy and dirty and loving and a little violence at the same time.
My philosophy on sex scenes is you should take them to the point where you've gotten all the information needed or the emotional evolutions needed. And in this case, I think you needed to see her conflicted and give in.
Yeah, surrender to the moment. This was a concept we came in quite late, of showing a nightmare. But showing that now that this nightmare that she's having about her dad is now switched. And this like burn that Owen has on his back, this was another Ashley Swedowski idea that, like we do environmental storytelling, we could do stuff on the body through scars or disfiguration that tells you a story.
I love that at her core, Abby is a protector.
Mm-hmm.
She's Joel.
She's Joel.
Yeah.
Right, so now the dread, she's too late.
Don't come any closer. It's me.
I like the change that Lev goes through here. Like, he's relieved to see her, and he's ashamed that he hasn't been able to protect his sister.
I really like her trigger etiquette. She took her finger off that trigger as soon as she heard his voice. Classy.
Good job, Laura.
Good job, Laura.
There's this little bit of storytelling of the jacket on top of her, that now she's feverish. Sometimes we get these unintentional parallels. Like this one comes to mind of Ellie in Winter needing medicine for Joel.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is about to become a goal for Abby and Lev.
I think that one of the things about this game that I like is it just keeps reminding you in how many ways we are fragile.
Owen!
This is one of the things I did for
Owen!
training when I started working out for Abby. My husband, Travis, got me a 100-pound sandbag.
To carry.
And I had to carry it.
Oh, damn.
And then I got pregnant.
Put the phone down. It's okay.
This is a neat moment, right? These dogs have been trained to like tear scars apart, and now they're here.
Lev, lower the bow. It's okay. Abby, who are these kids? They saved my life.
I mean, this is probably the first time they've ever come this close to Seraphites without fighting them.
I wonder if Owen right now is thinking, like, I mean, I said not kill them. We don't have to, like, fucking go this far.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Mel's like, yeah, right.
Slow down.
I don't know. It doesn't look that bad.
It's just a little pink.
It's just
It's
a
a
little
tan.
smooshy.
Yara. No. I was gonna clean it and try
The
resetting.
bone's shattered.
Like, there's a moment here that I always find funny where, like, Owen tries to suggest, like, just cutting it and burning it.
What does that mean?
And Laura, you just make him feel like an idiot.
It has to come off. She's a soldier. You can't take her arm. We leave it, it'll turn gangrenous.
What I love in the scene is even though Mel has very little dialogue outside of tending to Yara, you can see in her performance, in Ashley Birch's wonderful performance and her body language, that she is very much soured to Abby since last we saw her. And hopefully it's very subtly asking the question of how much does Mel know?
She would die from infection.
You fucking moron.
Make me a list. I'll go to the hospital. I'll get it all day to get there. I don't mind. It's not about you, Abby. She doesn't have a couple of days.
What if I can get you there in 2 hours?
Abby is like such a
Hospital, right?
singularly minded
On the west side?
person. Like, when she gets fixated on something, nothing will get in her way.
I don't know anyone else like that.
High up. It's how we get around the flooding and you people.
Can't you handle 2 hours? Probably, yeah.
This idea of the sky bridges and that wolves never look up. It's actually it's an idea we got from our focus test, is that we build these elaborate levels, and then we find players look left and right and almost never turn the camera upwards.
Oh, wow.
So there's this idea that they're patrolling these streets and they never look up to see these secret paths that the Seraphites are using.
Abby.
Oh yeah, you calling Abby right now?
Look at the way Mel's looking at him.
Hey.
There's also, again, it's kind of a messy theme, but the idea of that we've done certain things and it feels like we can never get past them. And for Owen, it's like, oh, I got this girl pregnant. Does that mean this relationship is doomed and it could never happen? That's the way Abby sees it. But for his mind, it's like, nothing is ever final. There's always a chance for, like, a new beginning.
Well, I do.
It's a nice, sweet little moment.
And Lev's just like,
Well,
I'm
like,
not
oh,
here.
shit, well,
I
I
am
just
not
went.
here.
There's so much unsaid that, again, we have the privilege at Naughty Dog of being able to capture the such small nuances of your performance that we don't have to rely on dialogue as much. Her worst fear realized.
Yeah. Can you imagine how bad that would smell?
I like that Abby is like, let me recover from near death. And Lev's like, I'm good, let's go.
And he's just staring
just
at her
bounces.
awkwardly.
It was so great on the stage. Looking up and just seeing him.
Can I get a minute? Please.
Okay, but I'm going to keep staring at you awkwardly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Just back up one step.
The sequence between Abby and Lev used to be shorter, significantly shorter, and Lev used to be the one that died and Yara survived. And it's because we saw the dynamic between you two.
Oh,
that
really?
It caused us to have this ripple effect that changed the story and eventually led to us changing the ending and having Abby survive.
What? Really?
Spores. Masks on.
So this is my favorite level in the whole game. And narratively, this level had to do a lot of work, not just because hey, now we're going to learn more about Seraphite culture and what this is and who Lev is. But this level has to ultimately earn Abby's willingness to walk away from the wolves.
If you die, I'll be stuck here.
Better start praying to make it.
She has to build love.
The banter that's forming between these two characters. As they get more comfortable with each other, they're okay insulting each other in this funny way.
Because they want to kill you.
I like that he has no idea what backgammon is.
What's backgammon?
It's an interesting dynamic because he's been so secluded from the world. He knows even less than Ellie did in the first game. Just makes you think about, like, you know, if we were to come back years later, people that would be born years and years later, like, just the world we know seems more and more distant.
Hey.
Vita girl.
Abby.
Oh.
Now from the other side.
They got you out here too. Yeah, what a haul. I need some medical supplies. Can you put me where I'm supposed to?
Abby, just checked in with Isaac. He wants you back at the farm.
Let me talk to Isaac.
Talk to him in person. You're going back with the next shipment.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
She's been AWOL.
Trying to look confident, though, you guys. Tell by my body posture.
Give me your hands.
She's not yet willing to
fight them. She's surrendering to them. They're not her enemy yet.
Just staring daggers into his face, though. Like, are you really gonna do
Hey! Hey! Let me the fuck out! God damn.
You're gonna dislocate your shoulder.
Chelsea Tavares
I never thought I'd see you on Isaac's bedside.
did a really fantastic job as Nora. It was important that all of you had really good chemistry. That's just, you have to sell years of friendship in very short scenes.
I need some medical supplies.
Why? What happened to him?
And again, this just myopic focus.
Compartment syndrome. Bashed forearm.
You're not treating him, are you?
Mel.
But she's not right. Interesting that even here, that these people love each other, that there's tribes within a tribe within a tribe. Because she's, lying to Nora.
We haven't cleared out the lower floors yet.
Would they have what I need? Build up for the scariest fight.
We're about to get into our Resident Evil homage.
I'll be fine. She's so cool.
You get caught.
Nora?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, this one will bite you in the ass.
All right, come on.
But, all right.
Like that she's ready to pummel whoever it is that grabbed her. And this is something we'll see with Yara later as well, which, like, these kids are told to stay put, and they're starting to care so much for Abby, they don't stay put.
They're all looking for you. What did you do?
Nothing. I told you to stay put.
I couldn't. Your friends are all over the place.
I really like the glue that happens between this scene and the next, and showing this river rapids ride, and it has very much this Apocalypse Now feeling that you're cruising through a war-torn area.
This game is so ugly.
This was this little sequence. I think this was suggested by Joe, our editor on this game. I love these murals.
Yeah.
Sometimes these, like, kind of connecting shots I find really beautiful. Just giving you a little bit of a gap in time.
And now this shifted relationship with Lev and Alice.
Oh, yeah, and
And
Lev's
it's
just
like-
been taught to fear those dogs.
Right.
They just rip them apart.
And another example of just the beauty of animals in this world and how they represent innocence.
Gorgeous baby.
I'm staring at the animation on the fingers and how well done it is.
Well done. You can go see her now if you want.
Is she gonna be okay?
Yeah, actually.
All this time after what they did to Joel, after all the Seraphites they've killed, finally meeting these two kids, just starts to put it all in perspective for Abby.
I know.
Her body figures it out before her head does.
What happened to us?
What happened to us, right? That's the most she's going to talk about, all these things that she's done.
Maybe we stop looking for the light.
Maybe.
The idea that, even when we fail, we still have to push forward for something better. That's what Owen represents.
I'm gonna go check on the girl.
Okay.
Something so beautiful and sad here when we reveal the missing arm and this exchange of a smile between these two characters. Another time I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's just, I love showing off your performances with no dialogue. It just makes our job easier as writers. Just leave out the writing.
That's the secret to good writing. Leave out the writing.
And finally, she has one good night of sleep.
Yeah, but consciousness is about to slap her in the face.
Owen? Just me.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like that Mel doesn't even, you're not even worth my time to talk about it.
Changing Yara's bandages.
But then she snaps.
She's so powerless in this situation.
What are they fighting about?
Fuck you, Yara. I wouldn't leave you behind.
Oh, and this was a fun beat because he did just learn how to say fuck you.
Owen invited them to come to Santa Barbara. That is very Owen.
She's trying to be jokey and connect with Mel.
Talked him out of going by now. Hoping that she doesn't know.
Right.
Actually, I'm going with them. But not if you come.
Oof.
What? He may fall for your little act with these kids, but I don't. There's nothing to fall for.
Isaac's top scar killer suddenly had a change of heart.
It's such an insult, right? But it's like, she probably deserves it. But the idea that she's only being nice to these kids to earn favor with Owen.
You're a piece of shit, Abby.
You always have.
It's so sad that she doesn't fight back because she probably agrees with her.
Oh, fully. Fully.
Well, I think Mel is also calling into question, like, can characters change? Can people change? We see it with Joel, but it happens so rarely, right? And so many of our characters are myopically focused and can't change no matter what. So I understand why she feels like this must be bullshit.
No, but she finally feels like, oh God, I'm doing the right thing. I'm finally doing the right thing. Maybe I can be better. And then like this
Right.
instant back to reality.
I like that showing emotion in this world is somehow a weakness.
Nice shirt.
We iterated a lot on what was on that shirt. We had,
Yes.
I just
I was
remember we
just
had all
thinking the
these
same thing.
all these different designs that were just too distracting, and finally we ended up with something pretty subtle.
How's your arm?
Because she'd need an aquarium shirt.
Why does that otter look so sad?
Otter lost its arm too.
Lev coming around?
He will.
I remember a conversation I had with Victoria here about Yara's motivation, how she's she feels like she needs to repay Abby in some way, and she's complimenting her, and she's pulling her in to like find Lev. but more for Abby's sake than for actually finding Lev. Oh, this was a tough one to write.
Oh, yeah.
How is he doing this? Hey, do you think maybe he could convince your mom?
If she saw him like this, she'd strangle him with her bare hands.
The conflict between love and duty, of like the love a mom should have for her kids and the duty she has for her religion.
I heard some of your people calling him Lily.
I like here that Yara is the practical one. She sees the world as it is, and she sees the consequences as they are. And in some way, in another universe, she and Abby would be wonderful enemies because they are both strong, myopic soldiers, right? But for Yara, the risk to Lev's life is worth giving everything up.
I told him he had to keep it to himself.
And the guilt, right? This guilt here.
I was hoping he'd snap.
Well, it's that it's also Yara has greater love for Lev than their mom had for Lev. That this moment that she's describing here is what made her lose faith.
One of the men was suicide.
And we don't talk about it, but I think the difference that I see between Yara and Lev is that Yara has lost her faith, and Lev has just refocused it, went back to the origins, to the writings, and sees how it was corrupted.
So stupid.
This is another one of those scenes. I thought Victoria here just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we find something to cheer him up?
I like these in these action games, sometimes having a goal of like, oh, let's find a toy to cheer up a kid. And that becomes your gameplay objective.
Another brilliant thing Ashley Swadowski sort of conceived of is you watch the kids visually change and move away from scars over the course of this game. So here we see Yara is now dressed like a civilian, but she still wears the braids.
Sorry, I didn't realize you owned everything in the aquarium.
She's not fully letting go.
My aquarium, my stuff. I'm just kidding. Take whatever you want. You can't.
Have you seen Lev?
Yeah. Who's down
Yeah, we're about to get into this conversation of, I mean, they're talking about their relationship, but thematically there's greater stuff here, which is, when are things too late? When have you gone so far that there's no coming back from it?
She couldn't tell I was joking.
They are very literal.
They're literal people.
I suck with kids.
It's funny he says he sucks with kids, but I think Owen would be a great dad.
Oh, I think he'd be an incredible dad.
Another world.
Coming to Santa Barbara, right?
I can't.
Why?
You know why.
He's such an optimist, right? He's about to talk about that. We'll figure it out. I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
I know. I know it's a fucking mess. I know. But we can choose to be happy.
Again, going back to something you said earlier, Neil, but it's like this idea that suffering is the way that we honor the dead.
I don't think Abby has fully admitted, like, no, I don't have a right to be happy. There's no.
Yeah.
What's he doing? He's going after her.
After who?
His mom. She's gonna kill him, Abby. Is the boat ready?
Not yet.
How much time do you need?
A few hours.
This is their last conversation together.
She just had surgery. I'm fine. How else am I gonna find him?
I'll go with you.
Owen?
They're heading to the fucking island.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna let her go by herself.
I think there's a part of Abby that knows she's about to head into a suicide mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is her forcing Owen to stay here.
She's really trying.
She's trying.
The irony is in staying here.
She
is
dooms
what-
them.
She
is what
abandons them, yeah.
Dooms him.
I don't know when it is in gameplay that you realize, like, oh God, I killed them all as Ellie. You know what I mean? What did I do?
Is that a sniper rifle?
Uh-oh.
Stay on the dock. I'll go get a boat and pick you up here.
No, I can help.
Not with this.
Girl, you have one arm.
She is so tough.
She's badass.
But yeah, Abby doesn't want any more blood on her hands. So just like with Owen, she wants Yara to stay behind.
You by yourself?
Yeah.
I really like the dynamic between Abby and Manny.
Sniper's a fucking bro.
Just a couple of bros.
A couple of bros.
We're supposed to hit the island tonight. Then this pendejo showed up.
Tommy's so cool.
It's so interesting how very few players guessed that this was Tommy right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need one of those boats. Now.
Just because it's been so long and you forget about there's a whole other cast of characters that are on this island, and now these two stories are starting to merge.
Right, at first it feels coincidental, like, oh, she just happens on Manny. It's like, no, Manny was targeted. The revelation, it's Tommy.
What? No wonder he was so good.
I'm like, oh right, this whole other game that's happening finally collides. If you don't see a character die on screen, you should always question their death.
You all right?
That music is so ominous.
Yeah.
I like how she's just burying the death of her friend.
Yeah.
Just stay, again, she has this very narrow focused mind.
And the realization that it's all gonna come crashing down.
And the guilt, I would imagine, right? Like, the thing I would be burying in that moment is, oh, that's that guy? Oh, I'm complicit in the death of my friend.
There's another one of those that's, if you were to see the making of it, it'd be so funny because they're like, okay, and wave. And wave. And you'll have to act the physics of the boat. And then later, the animators like touch it up.
In the earlier days of this game, there were 5 days that the girls were sort of doing their thing in Seattle.
And now we're on their territory.
There was a whole day where Ellie would go to Scar Island to give you this opportunity to see them in the same nurturing way that we would see the stadium, where you get to see them take care of their children and their seniors, and you get to see them farming, and you get to see them be human people. But we cut it because ultimately it didn't shift Ellie's journey. Oh, this scene.
This is a heavy scene.
Mm.
Unlike the rest of the game, which is just
A comedy.
that shift right there for Yara is really nice, of going from grieving to protecting. Consoling, yeah, that's right. Those cuts.
And she knew it was gonna happen. She knew that's what the outcome was gonna be.
She started chasing
Lev's an optimist.
trying to make her stop. I was just pushing her off of me. She hit the table.
With everything that Baby Lev has been through in this past week, this is truly the death of his innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Now these three have become the us, and the WLF is about to become the them. There's this little connective tissue right here of or this moment of connection between Abby and Lev that I love, that she hands him the bow. Just the exchange, again, this exchange between them.
My baby.
Sweet baby. All she can do is arm him.
Oh, this is
This is the... Yeah. So right, originally you would come into this island, and this is where we would have killed Lev, and
Yeah.
we had these concepts of stone mound graves, and that you would find Lev being buried in one. But instead, we flippity-flopped it.
It's funny. It's like Abby stopping Lev from doing the things she couldn't even do. Is grieve for the person she loves. And there's our second Isaac scene.
Well, not a good look.
This was really fun watching you guys play. This back and forth. It's like every other time you've been able to reason with Isaac, but he's at the end of his rope.
He's not one of them, please.
Abby, move.
God damn it, he's just a kid.
Isaac doesn't see a kid, you know?
You have 3 seconds to get away from that scar. 1.
You really gonna shoot me?
2.
I'm not fucking moving.
That facial expression was great.
No! What the fuck?
And Jeffrey Wright gave us a lot of deaths, a lot of falling in all these different ways. I remember that. This was another one of those where we wanted to make the volume feel bigger and run with the characters. And then we had a hard time, I don't know how much you remember, Laura, of like getting this beat to land right here, this exchange between the two characters until we somehow, I don't remember the exact order of events, but we came up with this line right here. You're my people.
Yeah, we were on the stage and it just wasn't quite working. And you came to me and you said, let's come up with let's brainstorm some other lines. And I said, you're my people. And you're like, okay, that's it. And you just walk back on set. And it really, it's become my favorite line in the game because it is, to me, it is the unifying idea.
This one here is actually one of my favorite scenes in this game.
I agree. This one's really great.
It's just the visuals, the exchange, how far we've come. Just the idea that he's cold. The weather.
She's so Joel here. She's just such a dad here.
This is, again, this is one of those things that's very easy to write on the page. She takes her jacket off, she wraps it around Lev. Very hard to execute and make it look good. Look how she's looking at him.
Well, it's like now she's looking at a small version of herself, right?
Yeah.
She knows what it is to see your parent dead, to see your world burn, and now she's just got to helplessly watch another person do it.
This is, again, where the two stories are barreling into each other. And we have a series of losses. I mean, there's this nice dramatic irony. The player already knows what's waiting for Abby inside, and they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they're waiting to see how this
If they
plays
remember, a lot of people forget.
No,
out. But as soon as they see Alice,
Oh yeah, Alice is the
that's
trigger.
the giveaway. What can you say to someone that just lost his mom and his sister at the same moment?
Alice is the only dog that actually has to die in the game, which was a fun thing during press when people would be like, why do you want us to kill dogs? And it's like, you don't actually have to in any of the setups. They're all voluntary kills, but Alice is the only requisite one.
I'm pretty sure we're always careful to say you don't have to kill dogs, but we didn't say you don't have to kill a dog.
Dog. The cutest dog that you play fetch with.
This is, Laura, you make this look very easy, but this is a very hard scene, I think, watching from the outside to act, which is you have to go from grief to pure rage. I think, Hallie, this was your throwing up that you wrote into this scene.
Yeah, probably.
It's such a great visual of how much grief somebody can take before your body just rebels against it.
Yeah.
This little, the way he says Abby here.
Abby.
Almost afraid to show her this might lead to the people that did this. And of course, this was Ellie's mistake of dropping the map here in her panic attack. And and the music is doing a good job of just taking you internally into Abby's head. Now she's regressing back to the vengeful spirit she was before. Our main characters collide, or about to collide.
I think one of the things that makes Laura's performance here so special is that this character is so hard and so terrifying, but in every scene where Laura is scary, there's also this patina of vulnerability, of fragility that's coming through, where you can feel that she's quaking with rage, but there's so much complex stuff happening underneath that rage. It's really great. You're not bad.
It's funny because it's the same way I feel about Ashley's performance. So there's always this.
Just that rage feels so real.
She's so good too, like fucking one shot.
And from her perspective, it's Jesse's an NPC.
Yeah.
He means nothing to her.
Stand up! Now!
Don't you fucking dare!
Shut the fuck up! All right, stop! Stop!
What is so beautiful here, or tragic, is that Ellie doesn't get it. Right? What Ellie's about to say here is like,
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did.
well, he did it to save me. There's no cure because of me.
And Abby's like, what?
Not
It's
about that. I don't know how much Abby cares about it. It's about her dad.
You killed my friends.
Like, I showed you mercy.
And you wasted it.
And Claire's were so uncomfortable here. Like, I have to go up against Ellie now. And this is very much by design.
Who is scary.
She's wily, but you're beefy.
If I remember correctly, Ashley, we had you like have water in your mouth when you delivered some of the lines here, because your mouth is meant to be filled with blood.
Yes. Wow. Okay, because I remember I was, as my usual, I was like, why am I just laying here? I would try everything I could to try to get up and go save her. So I think the water and having that and having sort of showing or being able to hear how messed up Ellie is in that moment.
This is the other scene that lives in my head. The knife to a pregnant girl's throat. It's so terrible, but in her mind, like, Ellie just intentionally killed her pregnant friend, and Mel is so visibly pregnant.
And the fact that Abby does not kill them shows that she's kind of in a little bit of a better mental place, I think, than Ellie is.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
she's
grown
also
a
got
little
her
bit.
moral compass, like,
yes,
right in front of her.
Yeah.
Well, there's like
Yeah.
two versions of love right in front of her. One
Yeah.
is a destructive one of like wanting to do justice by the people that I've lost, and the other one is wanting to do right by this kid that I've come to be their protector. And she
Who's already
chooses.
seen too much violence, who's already experienced too much wrath, right? It's like, he needs peace.
Ellie? Hey.
That poor baby.
That poor baby.
Yeah.
We had a lot of conversations here about Ellie's thought process, the things she's not expressing, but she put the baby's life at risk right now, right? It's like, who knows what, and when she's in this fog of PTSD, what she could have done.
This is the moment for Ellie where she's...
It's never going to get better.
It's not going to get better, and she's put her family in danger. So it's probably better to just go.
Well, Dina is also trying to sweep it under the rug, and this is what's going to happen in the next. He was like, let's just go back to bed. Everything's fine. If I could buy another week, maybe she'll get a little bit better.
Or even just the distance to speak. It's just like when somebody's really in the thick of like the panic and the fog of grief like that, it's like you do kind of need time in order for them to kind of continue to progress through the stages. But it's like Ellie is refusing to move through these stages. And so like I feel like when we were doing this, like the patience that I have with it was that it's like maybe she'll move to the next stage soon. Maybe we're getting there. Maybe that's what we're getting to.
I don't know if we ever talked about this, but we had a whole different version of this part of the game where it was Maria that showed up.
Yeah, but we felt it would be more intimate if it were seeing how broken Tommy was.
Well, it should be like feel more the guilt of like seeing the damage on Tommy and having Tommy been changed over this year since he got back to Jackson, of like the guy that wanted to protect Ellie and not go on this quest for revenge is now guilting her into it.
I like that you're coming in late and you're seeing that this man has been very broken, and we're getting a sliver of how the abuse he experienced and the things that he did in Seattle have irreparably damaged him. And he's standing right in front of Ellie, and Ellie is looking at how irreparably damaged this man is, and she's like, yep, let's do that to me too. I'm willing to see the ghost of my future. That's the fate I deserve.
Sorry.
Nah. We talked about it a lot, and yeah, it's what we both want, so.
Well, the other thing we were talking about is the other big Ellie Tommy scene is after Joel's death and how they can't look at each other. And then this happens again here. Once he asks her to go, she can't look at him.
I think it's a confrontation thing, or when I'm feeling anger, I get uncomfortable, like I don't want somebody to see it.
It's also the shame, right? Of the shame of,
Yeah.
I'm letting you down. I'm letting Joel down. I'm letting myself down.
Yeah.
Described her as built like an ox, traveling with a kid with scars across his face. He said they're living.
I also think that there's something important in the scene for Dina, right? Because Dina has been such an amenable partner through so much of this game and their journey, and even when Ellie's off the deep end, Dina is a nurturing force. And here she's finally drawing the line.
We're done with that.
She's finally like, we're done with that. I'm speaking for Ellie now.
There's a line here, and you've crossed it.
And like the rage I felt too when he keeps going, I was like, it's insidious. You know, it's like he came and brought the virus back into the house, and now she's sick again.
Think of all the guilt he's carrying. He failed to save Joel. He failed to save Jesse. He failed to get Abby. He's fucked up. His marriage has fallen apart. All he has left now is this revenge. That's it.
Well, it also it goes back again to that ego thing where it's like, you asked me to do this and I did it. I went to Seattle. Now I'm coming back for you to pay up, and you're going to be a little bitch about it?
Well, and again, he's too blind to see the suffering that she's going through. All he could see is like how damaged he is. What does he say? Like, oh, you live out here, and like, and you got your family, and everything's cushy, and everything's fine, and I'm the one suffering. But he doesn't see that he's not the only one suffering.
And I love that Jeffrey, when Dina walks over and Ellie's sitting there at the table, and Jeffrey is not even acknowledging Dina.
In a way, Tommy might feel like, I'm more family to you than Dina is. I've known you longer. Like,
that's exactly
think
what
of everything
felt,
we've been through. And it's the only time there's really personal conflict between Ellie and Tommy.
That's one of my favorite Dina moments.
Yeah.
Because it felt so real.
I was so mad.
Yeah. Just like flying out the screen door and being like, listen, motherfucker, get off of our property. I love it.
So this was one of the first things we shot for this game.
Yep.
There's so many characters here. We had to shoot this in multiple batches and then stitch it all together.
I did several days just dancing.
Yes.
Yeah, remember we brought a dance choreographer that spent some time with you, Shannon.
Yeah.
This was the demo, and so we had to. This was tricky because we're introducing to the world a lot of new characters with a lot of interesting dynamics, and trying to do that through exposition, but as thin an exposition as possible, because dear God, nobody likes exposition. It was hard.
What happened?
This scene has jumped around all over as we're playing with the structure. It used to be in the very beginning, and then we felt we just had too many cutscenes in the beginning. We needed to get to the action a little bit faster, and then moved it to the end. We changed the writing for the beginning.
She's putting on quite the show.
But there's something kind of nice, and I guess there's a tragedy to it of coming here at the end as a memory. Of just seeing Jesse's alive and Ellie and Dina are okay and no one's And there's Joel.
Hey, what took you so long?
Oh,
And this like really innocent first kiss.
Hey, don't forget, we're heading out early, so get some rest.
Yes, sir. You're such a dick. Come on.
This was the first scene we shot. This was the first scene we shot after you hired me.
Yeah.
How bad do I smell?
I look at this and I'm just overwhelmed with all the details of the shirt, of sweat stains, of little hairs on the neck, little dimples on the smile. And just, this is hundreds of people of work for months to get this little moment. Sweat and trying to capture it.
The hair that I put behind her ear is crazy.
Yeah. And that has to switch from being physics hair to being hand animated hair
It's
as soon as
crazy.
you make contact with it.
Whoa.
Not.
And even just the kissing, like, I mean, it's just, it looks so realistic.
Yeah, and it's actually a combination of several performances all stitched together right here. And then the lighting has to change from shot to shot. It's interesting highlighting the bracelet that's back on Dina's hand. It's a nice reflective moment of like how innocent things were for all these characters.
Yeah.
I love just the little surprise on Ellie's face, the little like moment of shock before melting into it.
And then we're about to get into Seth. And again, Shannon, your rage is so real here.
Hey, it's a family event.
The fuck are you looking at?
This whole interaction was based on one time I was at Blockbuster and I'm just talking to my friend, I'm throwing curse words around, and the dad in front of me had his two kids, and he's like, "Do you mind? There's kids around." And that always stuck with me. I felt such shame having like used curse words in front of these kids.
What did you just say? Ellie, Ellie, don't.
Get the hell out of here.
Get your hands off me.
Hey! Enough. Come on, you. Let's go for a walk.
What about them?
You worry about yourself.
I feel so bad for Joel here.
Ugh, me too.
What is wrong with you?
She doesn't want to be under his shadow anymore.
No.
But he can't help himself.
He's just trying to. He's
someone
trying to dad.
someone is hurting her, and he's going to stand up for her.
Oh, Papa Bear. Yeah, you know you were an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saddest scene.
Yeah, with the first game, right, we're talking about how do you take this obsession of love, of a parent's love for a child, to the end of the line? And then this has the reverse of it, of like, how do you take hate to the end of the line? Which is also like another expression of love. And the engineering of it was that here she has this family that loves her, and it's not good enough because she's letting down Joel in her mind.
I love the different energies that you both bring to this scene where Dina is giving it her everything in this fight, and Ellie just has to shut down.
This scene, my God. I was so hard to leave you because you were so upset and so broken and so sad, and I was like, I should, my must stay. I'm sorry.
I would argue this is maybe Ellie's darkest moment, even though I know where we're going, because this is the choice where she forsakes.
This is where she makes the choice.
Yeah. And I think she knows there's a very good chance she's going to die on this journey.
I guess the thing that we don't talk about is like, I think she's suicidal.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
There's the guilt of what
The
should have
pain is
happened
too
at the
loud.
hospital.
That's why she leaves in the middle of the night. She's not saying goodbye because it's clearly suicide.
Yeah. When the pain gets too loud, she's not there anymore. She's incredibly vulnerable, but she's completely disassociated, and there is this absolute rejection of everything that is right.
I'm just supposed to sit here and wait for you.
At that point, like, you know, you're not talking to the person that you're in the relationship with. You're talking to the grief. And so it's like the convincing comes into like, are you even in there anymore? Like, can I just find you for 1 second? And she's just fully gone.
both characters have very clear goals, and then there's an obstacle, and then they keep ratcheting out. Like Dina just ups the ante over and over and over until the last bit is ultimatum.
Even the grabbing of the face.
And then she pulls her hands down. And that's it, she knows. Philosophically, with this game, what we wanted to do was allow our characters to make immoral choices that the audience would not be on board with. Up until now, like, we shed some of the audience of, like, you know, the Nora torture. Some people have issues with that, or certain other kind of violent moments. But here we lose almost everybody. And it is by design in that way of, like, you're now, like, playing this thing that you are not on board with at all. You have to keep going. And in a way that does align you with Ellie. These shots are so gorgeous. There's a nice misdirect coming up here. We purposely gave Lev chucks. So you're thinking for a second that, oh, okay, this is where I pick up Ellie's journey. And again, now you've been a while away from Abby and Lev. And now Lev has fully shed his seraphite exterior. Has hair.
I love to see their growth, their relationship in this moment.
Okay, Constance.
In letting go of hate, Abby has taken on Owen's optimism, Owen's hope. This thing that was just this flame that was almost completely extinguished within her. Somehow in all that tragedy and all that horror, she was able to find it again.
Her face seems brighter, it seems lighter than it has been the entire game.
Come on.
Even in the flashbacks.
Is this frequency currently in use? This is
so small, but I love
what?
the hope. Again, it's just like she has a bit of hope here, and then it's cranked up to 10 when she hears the fireflies on the other side of this radio.
And isn't the firefly on the other side of this radio another Vox Machina hero?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Liam O'Brien.
Is it?
Yeah.
He was my fellow nurse, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, we were the two nurses.
In Last of Us 1.
Is this frequency currently in use? This is Abby from Santa Barbara. Is anyone out there?
There's a nice reaction here that Lev has to Abby's, again, singular obsession of now finding the fireflies. And he's ready to give up.
Can anyone hear me? Hello?
And she keeps going in desperation.
I love artistically how the character models for Lev and Yara were kind of a blend of both of the actors' faces, because now I'm like looking at baby Lev, but I feel like you can see some spirit of Yara still.
Is this frequency currently in use? Hello, this is Abby from Santa Barbara. Can anyone hear me? If anyone can hear me, please reply. Please answer.
Don't give up.
Like that, you know, this was perfectly shot, like we're pulling away from her, that this is how the scene's going to end.
24, 25 Constance. We got a tip
I
about
don't
a
know
base,
why
but there's no
I get weirdly emotional in this scene.
for fireflies. I'm a firefly.
Maybe just seeing how happy she is.
Where were you stationed?
I was part of the Salt Lake outpost.
Like that little head shake.
God, I'm so awkward.
I mean, I guess I'm a firefly. I kind of disavowed them, but that is who I truly am.
He was my dad.
Well, how about that? We pulled everyone back
Like
to the satellite
Liam's
stations.
acting right here, like in the reply. How about that? Like, holy shit.
200 strong now, with a few more every month.
Owen was right. You're about to get 2 more. How do we find you?
It's,
Oh, God, yeah, that's there it is.
Approach the large domed building in Avalon. We'll find you.
Okay.
Look at like the way Lev looks at her. He's happy for her.
Looking forward to it. Good luck, Abby from Santa Barbara.
Well, it's also like
Over and out.
there's a possibility of community here again.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure everything's going to turn out fine for these two.
But it needs to, Neil.
Here they get ambushed by a new group, the Rattlers.
The Rattlers are the worst people we've encountered in the game for both practical reasons, which were we want you to get to see Ellie at her most vicious, most violent. We want her kills to feel brutal and justified. And we want to feel like Abby and Lev, were they not saved, would have died.
There's also, with this group, wanting to make them really awful, to play a little bit with tropes and structure and misdirect the player, that in a lot of these stories, you have these two characters that you're rooting for against each other, and then there's a really evil force, and you see them team up, and they're going to work together to defeat the bad guys. And that's not how this plays out at all. That always felt a little too cliche, and I don't know if it really spoke to the themes of what we're trying to say here. But we wanted the player to think that's what's going to happen. There's a nice economy here of storytelling. Like, we don't show Abby arriving at Santa Barbara with this boat that has become a character of its own in the story. And we're just here with Ellie picking up the tail end of their journey. There's also like a really interesting note here from Abby. And it's also the first time we're seeing just how emaciated Ellie has become. And she's sunburned and clearly not taking care of herself in the pursuit of Abby.
I mean, it mirrors it can't all be for nothing, because she's killed so many people at this point. If she stops, that all is just for nothing.
I really like the parallel of the first game of her wanting to see things all the way through with her stubbornness, even though there's a part of her that says this is not the right thing to do.
Yes.
Nice mirror here of the injury Joel had in the hospital in the first game. We're constructing this. We wanted to injure Ellie badly. So again, she's choosing the pursuit of this thing over her own health, that she will likely die if she sees this all the way through.
I would argue she is dead already.
Doing this upside down hair was such a pain. Because they have to, essentially, you can't just move the hair upside down. You have to remodel the whole thing. And we wanted her to have lost so much blood. It's again, the whole thing is starting to feel like a fever dream, and she thinks she's seeing like Abby and Lev, and then realizes, oh no, it's very different people.
Travis and Logic.
This was another moment to show how far Ellie has come, and how easier it is for her to kill someone in cold blood now versus the earlier parts of the story. And one more instance where she could use her superpower of being immune to get herself out of these jams. And what she's employing here is very similar to what Nora did to her, which is like try to insult them so they could get reckless, and in that recklessness she'll find the opening.
Something funny?
Looks like you shit your pants. It's good trick. I remember in this scene when I take the gun off of Bobby, the strap in one of the takes went across his neck, and I gave him a really bad rope burn.
Oh no!
Because I just yanked it really quickly, and he had that for about a week.
Oh no!
It looked really, I was like, oh no. It looked like he was strangled or something.
But he looked badass.
He was so excited. It was like, oh my God, Ellie killed me. He was such a fan of the game.
That's right, he was excited.
I love how efficient that action is right there. Just grabbing the gun, spraying across his legs. And watch this little smirk that you give when he points out your bite. Because he doesn't know you're immune. No one's immune.
She had a scrawny kid with cuts by his mouth.
Travis Willingham.
Yeah, that's her.
Look at your face there is like the... It's like she's getting another hit of her drug. Of like, I'm actually back on the trail.
She's so close, you can feel it.
Watch this smile. Looks at the bite. Right.
Talk.
There.
She's in a holding cell at our camp.
Where is that?
Head that way till you hit the railroad track. That'll lead you to a resort.
It's like, had this exchange happened earlier, if she killed someone in cold blood earlier, there'd be a very different reaction. It's like she's becoming more and more like Joel at this point, more and more capable and more cold about the violence, where she could just execute it and move on and not think twice about it.
I think at this point she's completely disassociated from the Ellie
Like
we've ever
she's
known.
staring him in the eye as he's dying. Just a hint that the injury's getting worse and worse.
But again, she's not going to stop.
She can't. Not yet. Remember this. Yeah, so the idea, right? She gets hit right at her injury. I like how badass this scene is. The desperation.
Ugh.
Remember the thumb to the eye. And this is Matthew Mercer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What I like about this sequence, too, is, like, you can look at everything that Ellie does is so ugly and so brutal and so unnecessary. But had she not come after Abby, who knows if these people would have ever been free? Who knows if this uprising would have ever happened, right? So again, there's these butterfly wings happening because of all of the choices she's made, that none of them are just black and white. You've got this constant gray you have to reconcile with.
Oh, they're staring at her like she's some kind of wild animal. Again, like, there's this whole crazy thing going on here of, like, slaves and slavers, and Ellie cares none of that. It's just she's so single-minded about Abby, and pretty soon, like in gameplay, she's going to just start repeating Abby, Abby.
I wonder how much of Ellie is hoping to die in that fight. But I love how surprising the speed is, right? It's like you keep moving towards this idea of this fight, and the whole way you're like, Ellie, you're too fucked up. Don't do this. Don't face Abby. We know what she's like. And now you come to this absolutely wrecked, frail.
I also love, it's pretty much wordless, and you could tell so much with the performance what's going on in their heads, and you could see Ellie's confusion and anger and sadness for what she's witnessing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like finally the prize is right there, and now it just doesn't feel as satisfying.
I always read that, like, there are boats this way moment is like, if I'm nice to her, if I'm just, like, treat her like not my enemy, then maybe, like, this will all go by quietly.
To me, this is a really nice mirror beat of Joel with Ellie, Joel carrying Ellie, right? And so you have that invocation, and Ellie just has to watch it, has to watch this embodiment of somebody who represents every good part of Joel.
It makes me so sad. This scene, it's just because Ellie doesn't know what to do with all of that anger and that hurt from losing Joel. And now this is the moment.
Yeah, because at this point, that's all Ellie has left. It's just this fucked up quest. Yeah, imagine having that image stuck in your head and not knowing how to get rid of it.
Yeah. And killing somebody else is not going to do it, but
you have to get to that point. You have to realize it yourself.
This was we actually had a really fun day.
Yeah.
As hard as this scene was, and it's so funny doing this with one of your best friends, of just like fighting each other, pulling her hair, Be like, get out of here, let's fight. Kick me.
No. I'm not gonna fight you.
I think that threat is fake, right? It's, I don't think.
Yes. I don't think...
She's bluffing.
I absolutely think she's bluffing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, but I agree. But what would have happened if Abby was like,
nah,
no? Like, I feel like she still would have pushed that. I would think she would have pushed that knife in.
This is great that there's all these different interpretations.
That's
'cause
so
I don't think she would. The version of how Ellie lost her fingers. Remember, Hallie, of like, there used to be when someone was waiting for her at the farm and then tortured her in retribution for what happened in Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was like the parent or somebody of somebody who died, of like an NPC essentially, who came, and so you're seeing that cyclical nature of violence of like, you killed my person, you killed my person, you killed my person. So somebody you didn't even realize you'd really killed tracks Ellie down.
I love how you pin her with your knee.
Yeah. So originally the conception was that Abby dies here, and it would have been such a different game, I think, if if right now there was just a body underwater and Ellie was having this moment. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know Abby died here originally.
Well, yeah, originally, like, I think both Yara and Lev died, and this was just Abby by herself when you meet up with her. And then Ellie kills Abby.
Rough.
Yeah.
I think leaving Ellie with 3% of the humanity that she got from who she was, that good kid, that scrappy kid that Joel helped shape. I think if she killed Abby, you would never see that kid again. And this gives a hope that she's still in there a little bit and could be maybe revived in the same way that Abby was revived in the right circumstance.
I agree.
Seeing the reactions, there's people that wanting to know, what was it exactly that made Ellie stop? Is it Lev? Is it this memory of Joel? Is it everything she's experienced? Is it just like Abby's state, that it's not this person that defeated her in the theater? And to me, it's all those things. The way our brains work is so messy. And that's the story was always meant to be very messy in that way, that there aren't these clear-cut answers.
To me, that moment is 2 more seconds, this girl is dead. So I already know what this feels like. I can see what I'm going to feel like 5 seconds from now.
Yes.
And it's no different.
Yes.
So why? Originally, the house was fully empty. And there was a concern, I think, that we had that it's going to feel like something bad happened to Dina, and we don't want to make it feel like it's...
Right.
That's the thought in her head. It's more, Dina has made that choice to move back.
She had to move back, too. She couldn't stay there alone with a baby. It was too dangerous.
But I do think there's something poetic in, like, she didn't take Ellie's things with her.
Yeah.
There wasn't a, I'm waiting for you, I'm going to build a home. It's I'm letting this die, here. And I'm going to let everything rot for you.
Well, that's really bleak.
Yeah, we wanted to create a metaphor for the unintended consequences of pursuing justice at any cost. And here we get to feel it of this song that means so much to Ellie, she just can't play it anymore. Also interesting thinking about Joel's headspace right now, like just been humiliated by Ellie in front of everyone. Who knows what's going through his head, but for me, sometimes when I get just filled with anxiety, it's guitar. It's just sitting down and just jamming and just...
Yeah, not even playing a song, just playing through something.
And we've had this scene at different spots of the game until we finally landed. It's this final moment.
Yeah, I think originally we were going to put it before the midpoint showdown of the game.
Right.
Oh, it plays so much better at the end.
Yeah, no,
It does.
now you can't imagine it anywhere else
Yeah.
once it's here.
What are you drinking?
Traded his soul for coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
I would do the same.
Embarrassed as to what I had to trade.
This is the most Ashley has ever pushed back on a scene.
Wait,
really?
Which this was because originally it was written that they hug at the end of this scene, and you're like, I don't know if they would. I'm not sure we could get all the way there. You were a sport about it, and we did 2 versions, one with a hug, one without a hug, and they were both very, very good. But ultimately, you were right. They're starting to forgive each other, but they're not fully there. Ultimately, makes it more tragic.
Yeah. I think that's why she goes on this journey, because it's just like it was never solved. Our relationship was never fixed.
Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
They just have like a father-daughter moment. Just this exchange about this crush that she has on this other girl, and Joel telling her like she would be lucky to have you. Again, he has unconditional love for Ellie, and that's what drives her mad. It'd be so much easier if he was just a complete piece of shit.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
you could just forget about him.
Yeah.
But you can't.
I mean, that's what's hard. I mean, she knows that he cares, and she knows that he does love her.
I was supposed to die in that hospital.
I also love that you
My life
bring
don't
it back
fucking
to
matter.
we're talking around the thing that we need to talk about.
You took that from
And
me.
you doing all of these gestures to try to make it better is not what I want. I'm going to bring it back to what the issue is, and that's I should have died in that hospital.
I also love watching. When do you both decide to make eye contact?
Oh, right, interesting.
And it's like right here for I watch at the end of this statement for emphasis. All eye contact. Because I am dead serious. I don't care the cost. I would do it all over again, even if it means I lose you.
There is something to be said for your writing in this, which is I would do it all over again, and I would do it all over again. Walk the knife's edge of meaning, because there's one that is repentant and there is one that is resolute.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that.
Like this false moment, I can never forgive you for that. And he's ready to accept it. And then he's all of a sudden, but I'd like to try. And then I think the water works for everyone.
Yeah.
Just start right here.
Oh.
We did a lot of work of just writing these scenes and not being heavy-handed to talk about theme, but there is something about just the placement of the scene here. And it's a scene about getting over some horrible transgression that one feels. Because there's other things that are worthwhile in this world than just kind of living in this resentment next to the moment where Ellie decides to let Abby go. And whether she fully forgives her or not almost doesn't even matter. It's just she knows there's other things in life that are more worth putting your focus on. It's interesting seeing since the game has come out. It's been out for a few years now. How many different interpretations there are for the sleeving of the guitar here. Whether it's she's fully forgiven Joel, or whether she's fully forgiven Abby, or whether she's willing to move on, or whether she just doesn't want to be under Joel's shadows anymore. And when people always I don't know if you get this often, people often come to me and they want the answer. They're like, which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's all those things. It's all those things in some way. Like people's minds are so complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's what we've been talking about with grief and how that can sort of manifest in somebody.
I'll caveat by saying this is my own interpretation. And it doesn't mean that it's right. It's just mine. But sometimes you have so many triggers for trauma that you just need to let anything that might trigger you, you just have to let it go and start over.
I mean, how I felt in that moment of, it's easier just to not get close to people.
we know when we were writing this, we had so many conversations about leaving it on a hopeful note. And even though it's very dark, I do find it to be a hopeful note. It's left with that question of like, once you've committed all these atrocities yourself, can you come back from that? And we saw that Joel was able to, and then maybe Ellie could as well.
I remember when you guys told me that was going to happen, and I was very nervous. Man, what a journey.
It's a long game.
It's a long game.
I'm curious, how do you interpret her leaving the guitar behind Ashley? Because she could have taken it with her. She could learn to play left-handed.
I think that so much of it is... I feel like it's a lot of things. I feel like some of it is... Deserving is not the word that I'm looking for, but I feel like there's a part of Ellie that's like, you know what, this is part of a life that I had that I now have to kind of leave behind because of the choices that I've made and the things that I did. And I think it's gonna be easier if I just leave it all and not have to go back and try to visit it every day. And I think also having if she did take the guitar with her, that would be a constant reminder of Joel.
Like it would be triggering.
It would be triggering in a way. And I think, you know, if Ellie had therapy in this world, it probably would have ended differently. But as someone who knows... Like when you go through stuff and you just kind of like trash compactor it down into your body and not deal with it. I think that's kind of where she's at, but kind of just like if I leave it all behind, this is what I kind of deserve.
Do you think if she leaves the guitar behind, she's hoping that she will no longer have the...
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that there, of like maybe if I don't have this reminder, I'll get over it, because trying to find revenge and retribution, that didn't fill that hole. What do you think it is? What do you guys think it is when you were thinking of leaving the guitar there? And specifically because cutting off the fingers was a very strong choice to not be able to play the guitar and have that connection anymore.
Sometimes it's hard to kind of reverse engineer what was the inspiration or the process, but I find playing guitar so therapeutic. And I associate music with specific times in my life and memories that then if someone were to take that away from me, and especially if I were responsible for the reason it's taken away from me, then it might be too hard to just constantly play it badly, or especially this particular guitar that's gifted to her by Joel. And right, her memories with Joel are, I think, mostly positive, but it's mixed with some negative stuff and the journey of the first game. And this is a point where I think she wants to start over, that she came to the brink of being a villain. And she's, I mean, in some ways she was, and she probably killed many people on this journey that might not have deserved that fate. But I think now she wants to go on a journey to reflect on that and find a different purpose. I'm curious, maybe Ashley and then Laura, like, how do you feel years later now? People had very strong reactions to this game, both positive and negative. And how do you feel about it?
I feel like I have so many feelings about it. I feel like now, having some years behind us of the game being out, I love this game so much, and I think it's such a beautiful piece of media because of the story and the narrative and what it has to say, and that's so much to Hallie and Neil. I think the aftermath, when it first came out, seeing what Laura had to deal with, my friend, and you guys, and all of us, of something that we cared about so much, and in the process of 5 years of making this and all of the hands that touched it. And there was a period that was rough because you're getting this judgment from people who don't fully know the story and are... It was hard.
It was rough.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of after too of people. But I don't feel like when we were playing the game that Ellie is making some really strong decisions. But it's funny, a lot of people that would come up and be like, "Dude, Ellie's like a murderer. What happened to her?" And I'm like, "No, she's got some stuff." But even still, like now having, coming out of that time of I feel like that was one of the first times where I've sort of dealt with like a reaction like that.
Uh-huh.
And it sucks. It hurts, especially if you love something so much.
Yeah.
And all the time that everybody put into it. And it sucked seeing my friend get attacked and things that all of you guys of things that I care about, but I know that's so much of the world we live in. But
I think it was just like a perfect storm of timing too. And because everybody was so separated, we were all dealing with that separately, right?
Yes.
We didn't get to see each other and like talk it through.
Right.
And it's crazy because for so long, and I've talked to you about this, like there was no closure for the game. Normally you wrap and we have like a wrap party and we get to like see everybody and
Unpack.
kind of like rejoice in what we made and like how much of our hearts we poured into something.
Right.
And we never got the celebration of finishing it and seeing it released to the world. And all we got instead was like that vitriol like thrown. Ugh. So it was rough, but it's, again, it's been years and I'm so just proud. And it's a story that if you play it, I don't see how it can't change you.
Yeah.
It changes how you view violence. It changed how I played games. As I was playing the game, I found myself, I wasn't attacking people anymore. Like I started I love to just destroy every person that I come across. Like it's a completion thing for me. And as I'm playing, I was like, I stealthed everywhere. Instead, I didn't want to hurt anyone anymore.
Yeah.
I remember when we started doing press at the end of the game, toward the end of the game, people would be like, "Oh my God, and all the dogs, you have to kill all the dogs." And I remember being like, "You don't actually have to kill any of the dogs but Alice. So that's on you." And people like having to own that reality, right? Like you have to face your own ugliness in the game. And I think I think the game will age well. I think the game will, the story and the mechanics and the beauty of the world will hold up over time as an incredibly complex piece of storytelling in and of itself, outside of like its own medium.
Yeah.
I hope, but that was a rough time.
Well, I remember, right, so it's months before the game comes out. We have to delay it indefinitely.
Yeah.
There's a backlash from our most hardcore fans. And people are just waiting in the wings to attack Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Because we're woke and diverse and all these other reasons.
Diverse, taking too long to get a game out.
So we're all at home and we're all kind of have to be depressed at home as this is happening and finish the game.
Yeah.
And then the game comes out and it goes on a little bit of a redemption arc because it won all these awards. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this, or I was afraid to like talk to you all about this. But my greatest fear when that backlash was happening was that I've let you all down in some way, that I didn't do right by you. And that's why I've always been afraid to kind of talk about it with you, because I feel like I would get really emotional. I remember talking with Troy about it because I'm like, dude, I apologized to him. I'm like, I feel like I did you wrong. And now you're like, and he's like, no, what are you talking about? Like, I love this thing. Like, I wouldn't change a beat. But, we all had our share of all sorts of things that were really awful to deal with at the time. And when people ask me, like, was it worth it? Was it worth doing this whole thing? And when I think about myself, I say, yes, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'm so proud of this thing. When I think about what you all went through, that's the one thing that gives me pause. That especially you, Laura, what you went through. That's when I'm like, I don't know if I would put an actor through that again. And it sucks that that's kind of the world that we live in, but I just care about you so much that I felt terrible for what you were going through.
Well, we were all going through it. So.
But then, when you started winning all those awards, I was like, I hope. And again, I was so afraid to talk to you about it. I'm like, I hope that's some sort of vindication.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes. And, like I said, I think it's just time, right?
Yeah.
When it first happened, it was not a good time.
No.
But,
God, I forgot.
But I mean, I'm
that
still
was...
like, oh,
But
I love it.
I do love it. And, there's some people that just hate the game and hate us for it.
Sure.
And there's way more that love it. And some people say it's their greatest story of experience out of any media. And some people say it's the worst story of experience out of any media. But the interesting thing to me about it is this game is so much about tribalism and saying I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
And losing the nuance of that conversation. And so much of the conversation, years later now, people are still arguing about it on that level and not seeing the irony that they're kind of proving the point of the story, the way they're arguing about whether Joel was right or Abby was right or Ellie. And it's like, no one was right, no one was wrong. It's just messy and gross in the way that these conflicts usually are.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like looking back on this, it's so funny because I think when all of the backlash was coming out, I had a similar feeling like you did, which I think I told you, where I was like, it's my fault.
What?
I fucked it up.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's just, it's such a, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I mean, it's probably the same thing that you felt, where you're just like, okay, cool. When it really just doesn't have anything to do with you. It's a lot of people, like Laura was saying, a lot of the frustrations that people were having and the timing that we were in. But when I think back on this game, I love both games so much, but I feel like the story and I don't want to say the message of the game because it's like there's so much to say. I'm so proud of what we all made. And I think as I get older, I still feel like this is going to be something that I hold so dear because of something that we were able to accomplish and the story that we were able to tell, especially in a video game, and that it's a bunch of, badass women that are taking on this world, and it's a perspective that you don't see a lot, especially in video games. And as hard as that time was, I'm so proud that we got to be a part of it, that I got to be a part of it. Yeah.
I regret every moment. It's the worst thing I've ever done.
I guess maybe to wrap it up here, it's a joy. It's been awesome working with you both. I can't wait to do it again on whatever project we might do in the future, but there's a reason that I keep coming back to working with the same people over and over again, because one, you try to find talent, but maybe even more important than that is you want to enjoy the people you work with. And despite we landed the plane, even if the landing was a bit rough with what happened there at the end. Again, just looking at myself, not for everything you've experienced, I would easily do it all over again.
Same.
I don't know.
Well, you're out.
Well, I left. I would do it. I would do it all again, but I would not have a Twitter account.
Maybe that's the final lesson of Last of Us Part 2,
Yes.
which is
Get off social media.
Get off of social media. Well, after several hours with us, this is the end of our commentary. Thank you for hanging in there. I hope you got some insight into our process. As you can tell, we're very proud of this game. Until next time, endure and survive.